The Earth is very flat.
What's going on, everybody? It is Tuesday, August 3rd. This is Brandon Show, hosted by me, Brandon. Said that backwards today. How is everybody doing on this fine Tuesday afternoon? I'm doing pretty good. I see we've got PJ Cruikshank. What's up, PJ? Ian Adams, Logan's Run. And that's it. That's it in the chat right now. You guys are busy, though. What's up, guys? Rune Thorson popped in there at the last second. Hope everybody's doing okay. Today we're going to talk about a couple things I've come across in the last few days, which is fake human beings and the potential current uses of those. Sound is good. Bill G, thank you very much. Silent Zero, Rob the Truth. What's going on, guys? I'll show you a couple different things you may not be aware of around the fake humans that they are developing, probably have developed. Gravity anomalies. Brian Leakey's got a new video out. I haven't looked at it too much. We can check it out. And I don't know what else we'll talk about. I had a discussion with Bob, the science guy, on Sunday. I hung out over in his Discord for like, I don't know, 3 or 4 hours. And we had a discussion about plane flight and Coriolis and how it would be impacted. That was kind of interesting. We might talk about that. I was just trying to rack my brain on how to communicate across what I was saying to him. It just wasn't getting there. So maybe we'll discuss that a little bit. And that's about it. We do have people in Discord, so let's go. What's up, guys? We're live. We've got FE, self-evidently farming ganja, Geo, Jin, Phoenix Rising 86, and the real Bob Dole. How you guys doing today?
I think I'm doing all right.
Good,
maybe.
Good. Yeah, we got you, Bob. What's going on? Nothing?
Chilling out, maxing, relaxing, all cool.
Okay. Sounds familiar.
Been to Panda Express yet, Bob?
Yeah, I got some, and it was yummy.
Chinese food, that sounds pretty good. I am hungry, too. Is that Chinese
Not
food or is that something else?
No, Panda Express Chinese food.
Right. I'm going to share my screen. I got a topic we can start off with that's kind of interesting. Have you guys seen these fake humans that they're developing? I call them fake humans, but from the Neon Project, Core R3. Are you guys aware of this? That they are trying to develop human avatars, fake humans, digital humans, for people to interact with.
Oh boy.
Yep.
So these are like genuine NPCs. Genuine NPCs you're talking
Actual about. NPCs, yeah.
Well, that's to learn something, man.
It's crazy. I'm showing some of it on screen. They've gotten pretty good at it, at least what they're publicly showing. And we've seen this before with deepfakes and stuff, but some of this was like, wow. They can carry on a conversation, show humor, all kinds of stuff. But if you look on this picture that I'm showing right here, the left one is a real human, and the right one is their computer-generated one. So it's pretty impressive. They still glitch out and stuff. Like he's showing it right here on the screen. They're not perfect, obviously. But I wonder how good they really have these right now and where they're using them. I've suspected for a long time, and this is kind of just one of those things that totally intuition driven. Could possibly not be true. I have no solid evidence for it. That some of the people they're showing us on the ISS seem to me to be fake humans. I think I've said that before, but I don't know. I just got a feeling if you're going to do something like that, you need to keep a secret. What better way to do it than to use fake humans? Just a thought. Anybody think I'm crazy or what?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough.
But you prefaced it appropriately, so you're fine.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
as you
this
said, what better way to do it? I agree 100%. As to whether they are doing it, man, I don't know. But what better way to do it?
This is basically what they do in movies anyway, right? Is they try to make it look like the actor, but then they have it, they act like in the Marvel movies, they have like the head transposed onto the armor. Iron Man isn't necessarily always wearing an actual suit. He's sometimes they like digitally put his head on top of armor or something like that, which in that case maybe it's actually his head being recorded and then they transpose it, but still they could do stuff like that for movies where they make the character look like the actor during like an action scene where they're doing something crazy.
Yeah, they do a lot of that now, and they've been doing that for years. Shit. I remember one of the first times I recall them doing that, where they transpose someone's face on another actor, was Sopranos. When the mom died, this was like 2000 or 2001. It didn't look very good, but makes you wonder how good they've gotten it now. I think we're seeing a glimpse of it here on this Project Neon and some other stuff they do. There's a bunch of videos on YouTube about this too. You can check out.
Just keep an eye out to see if NASA hires a company like this to do something totally not related to facial animation, but some other kind of animation, allegedly.
Oh, yeah, right. Yeah, we're subcontracting with them for educational videos. Yeah. Oh shit, what was I gonna say? Oh, but think of all the applications this would have for like espionage, defense, psychological operations, just anywhere that they want to present a person digitally to a population without compromising by bringing in another real human being. Like, let's say online, you could have one of these, spoofing on terrorist websites or whatever, and have this actual like avatar out there talking to people in their little, quote unquote entrapment games they play with people.
They could set it up so that like, these people are on here. They're obviously discussing terrorism and all the terrorist acts. So obviously we should blow up their country for this, that, and the other thing. Because look at all this evidence we have of them, conspiring against the West. That kind of bullcrap. But then there's also the option of if you're not necessarily towing the line, if you're not agreeing with the current side that's in power, and they decide they want to shut you up, well, they could generate up a video showing you doing all kinds of horrible things. So obviously you need to be thrown in jail.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Make up whole videos if they want to take you out. Yeah. Make a video of you doing anything, right? How the hell are you going to prove it's not you? Seriously, if they used one of these and came up with a deep fake, a video of you, I don't know, smoking crack, how the hell would you prove, no, that's not me in that video? You'd sound like a fucking crazy person.
I mean, honestly, once they show this, like, at this point, it should just be written in the law that video evidence can no longer be used to prove something. Like, it shouldn't. If we're that close to being able to make it look like somebody is there that isn't there, it should no longer be used as evidence against somebody anymore, because it can't be trusted.
If you showed Sean Hawkins smoking crack, I'd believe that.
Well, yeah. There's certain cases where I would believe too, but
They could use they could
I
use this
have an
technology
example.
to show Joe Biden being intelligent, lucid, and worthy of being the president of America. They could even use it for that.
You know, there's quite a few people who pointed out when he gave his, I think it was at the conference, one of the
I don't know if our
last speeches
technology
he
is
gave.
that good. If he,
I don't know, man. It's pretty good. And if this is what they're showing the public, just think of how good it is.
no, that was a joke about just how terribly difficult it would be to make Joe Biden look like he
Oh,
he
shit, I
deserves
missed it.
to be president.
Yeah, I thought. By the way, I'll get back one. I thought my joke fell flat as well.
All the computers on Earth couldn't run that algorithm.
Yeah. So I thought this was interesting. There's a few videos that I popped up, found when I was looking through this stuff. Let me see if this is another one. Core R3, there's one where this guy has a conversation with the AI. It's pretty good. You can tell it's not a real human.
Maybe not.
I don't know if you showed it to me without telling me that it was an AI, if I'd be able to figure it out.
Dude, you could probably, there's bots in chat. People probably chat with bots all the time and don't even know it. I would almost guarantee that. But I think Bearded Devil, dude, he's like a bot, dude. Never answers any questions ever. He just has the same computed, calculated responses to everything you say, dude. If he didn't pull off the occasional trickery, I'd call him a bot. But yeah, I seen chat shit. Dude showed me on a thing where it was I think it was like some dating shit, and he showed me, and it, I caught on that it was a bot, but it might have took me a minute if he didn't kind of point it out, But yeah, there's keywords, trigger words, and shit, but it's different talking, But who knows, man? If they can trick you or trick some people, even half the people, some of the people with chat, then they're either capable of tricking you with voice bots or not far from it. Let's be honest.
Oh, yeah.
Just look for circular arguments, man. Circular shit. Non-responses across the board. Circular shit. Just nothing but questions. No answers. Question. No answers. Keywords.
Well, you'll love this. They feed these AIs. They train them by giving them Wikipedia. So they'll that'll be in their database, Wikipedia. This AI, this guy right here in the purple shirt is an AI avatar. This wasn't live. He kind of filmed this before, and the company gave him this video of the avatar replying, but this is what the kind of stuff it generates. And he says in here multiple times, yeah, you've read Wikipedia. Oh. So ballers, which one of you are bots?
Type in keywords, man, and ask the same question again, and you get the same damn response and shit, dude.
Why would you ask that question, Brandon?
Well, I figured you were bio. I got that one now.
Hold on, I gotta fix my AI. Sorry.
All right.
They could, you think about it, Brandon. They could, if it gets this good, in a news broadcast, and here's an eyewitness to today's mass shooting, and then they just pop some avatar up that gives the exact rundown of what happened that they want to project to everybody in order to instigate, say, gun control or something like that. There's so many sinister applications.
They use this already on phone calls, right? They use already this on phone calls. Have you ever got this? But you can tell it's like a robot because it's so cold. The voice, doesn't have personality.
Look, I guarantee you, dude, we've probably all chatted with trolls. But look, if you get into a chat, maybe a comment, but I know a couple of my trolls on my channel are just fucking bullshit, they're just fucking programs, whatever, because they got just bullshit generalization response. Look, but if you comment to one of them, if they can't answer a direct question, then cut off your conversation because you're probably talking to a fucking bot, dude. If you're chatting back and forth with somebody and they can't answer one direct question, just ask them fucking, something, outside the box. And if they can't answer it directly, you're probably chatting with a fucking bot, dude, a troll bot, whatever you want to call them, dude. I promise you, they are out there.
Or just say something outrageous, like something random, like yellow, blue, barbecue, and some stuff like that, and see what his answer is gonna be. But I had these calls like 2 times.
No, dude, no, that ain't what you do, man. No, type in fucking moon landing. Just type in moon landing. And type in moon landing / BS or something. And watch, you'll get a general response like fucking, can you prove that the moon landed? Or you know what I'm saying? Just type in something that doesn't make sense, but put in the keywords. And just watch. Everybody try it. I recommend you try it and watch what you get. Just, it ain't going to be everybody, but here and there, try it. If you get this suspicion, just type in a keyword without making any sense out of it. In fact, intentionally don't make sense out of it, but just put in a keyword and maybe
what are you talking about, Brian? I'm talking about a phone call. What are you talking about?
Yeah, phone calls. You talking about the recordings that call you and shit?
Yeah, I'm talking about the other day.
I'm talking about chat bot. I'm talking about troll bots, man. I was talking about troll bots.
Oh, no, I'm talking about actually phone calls. I got 2 the other day from the ETE Energy or some shit like that. And you can tell their voice is really random. And not random, I mean like cold, like he has no personality, right, in their answers. And it takes like 2 seconds to answer you back. Like it's formulating the sentence that needs to be response to your question or whatever.
Yeah, most of those, unless they've completely fooled me, you can tell pretty easily that, yeah, this is not a real human being. But I wonder how good they can make them. And most of those customer service ones, I'm like, yeah, this isn't a real person.
I don't even talk on the phone anymore, man. It's text or nothing. Get right to the fucking point. I rarely talk. If it's one of my kids or something, call me. They have to call me 3 times in a row to get it. But I'm chat and or text message me and get right to the point. I don't want. I'm not saying don't text me, but don't text me with bullshit. Text me with the point. I'll text you back with the point. Nothing else. Just cold calculated. No, it's good. But it's just, trying to run a business and shit. And everything else going on. Just get to the point, man. Every now and then I'll have a conversation, chatting with a buddy here and there. Rarely.
Except for Discord.
Well, this is my chat right here, man. This is it. This is all my buds in one spot, right?
Yeah, I'm not a big phone guy either. My wife, she'll call me like when she's on the way home from somewhere. She wants to have coming back from the grocery store or something like that. And she'll want to have a conversation about her shopping trip. And I'm just thinking to myself, you're just bored and you want to talk, which is cool. You want your wife to want to talk to you, but still, like, I don't get it. I wouldn't think personally myself, I'm going to pick up the phone and call someone on my way home from the grocery store. So I have somebody to talk to.
So look, man, little subject changer. I don't know if anybody's seen my last video. Probably not, but I've got a whole bunch of lead saved up here. I don't know, probably about 100 pounds. I got a few more batteries I can melt down if I need to, but I had a couple balls, but I'm making some better molds. In fact, I'm doing that right now as we speak. But they've pretty much proven that lead attracts lead, but it is real dense and very, abundant.
So what are you doing, Brian? The title is Coming Soon, Cavendish with Lead and Non-Conductive Stuff. Predictions, anyway.
Yeah. And then on the other channel, I put, like, Cavendish Expanded. Like, I want to get to the bottom of this shit. Like, I'm going to try everything that I could possibly stand. I want to
show us gas.
I want to see non-conductive items, man. I got concrete and gas.
Just show us gas attracting gas, and this whole shit'll, that'll be a nail in the coffin right there, maybe.
That's how I met Biodual. Chemo was debating with him whether he was thinking that Cavendish wouldn't work in the vacuum. And I told Chemo right then, well, I told him my opinion anyway, but to me, it's going to work better. You know,
The thing with bio
because
is The thing with bio is he wasn't even concerned with worrying about the variables like the time it took or the distance. They said it wasn't important, but those same variables were the reason they found out other things.
Well, I'm going to be the same way. I mean, unless somebody gives me a personal request with a damn good reason, I'm not
Is
necessarily
nobody
looking
else
for.
hearing the loud, like high pitched squeak when he talks?
No,
Me?
Yeah.
I
Is it
don't hear it.
me?
No, when Brian, when it's like he's torturing mice or riding a really junky bicycle or something. Like,
Is it still doing it, man? Is it still doing it?
yeah.
Oh, yeah, I hear it now.
I hear crickets.
You
Unmute,
sound
Brian,
great,
but don't
Brian.
say anything. Let's hear.
What?
Now it's gone.
It's I think it might be only when he speaks, like it's catching something else. I don't know.
I just changed my microphone. Is that any better, guys?
Oh, there we go. It's gone. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, man.
Maybe not.
I listen to myself sometimes. I listen back, and I'm like, golly, man, I wish I'd have fixed that sooner. But Brandon does say something all the time. But you know what? I'm gonna break down and get another mic, just a straight up headphone mic. But I'm gonna do it for y'all guys, man.
It's some AirPods, bro.
Yeah, I had some, man, but yeah, I couldn't find them. Anyway, look, check this out. So I'm not necessarily until I'm done with just testing out a whole bunch of materials, mixing them, everything else, a bunch of non-conductive shit. Because look, when Blue Marble Science finally got his shit set up perfect, he got it going good, but he had to do so much shit electromagnetically, like with the foils and the grounding and all this other shit. And then he got it going with the right wires and all that. And he got it going good. And on that same setup, he put sandbags and it stalled. Now, of course, he blamed that on electrostatics. But see, so what seems to me, and what's obviously provable, if you want to go through all the pain, the painful tediousness of them videos, I did. And every time it goes wrong, it's electrostatics. And when it goes right, it's gravity. I mean, it's a fucking joke if you ask me. So he did the sandbags. He did have an excuse, I think he used like plastic bags to put the sand in. So he's like, there's static on the plastic bags, even though they're grounded, whatever, the foil on the edges still, the plastic had static, but they stalled completely. Okay. And at one point he proved lead repels lead. Said it plain as day. At one point, I absolutely proved that lead repels lead. That's his word, quote unquote. And so I want to use this with
Repels, isn't it supposed to attract?
well, it's before he had put the copper foil in there. He had it grounded. He had all four grounded together with well, at that point, I think he still had the wrong wire. You got to have a certain conductive wire. You got to have them all grounded. You can't ground the two separate. You'll get mixed results. You got to put a certain foil on a certain side of it, But anyway, you get all the electromagnetics just right, and you got gravity,
So what are you hoping to show with your
I'm
tests
hoping
or
to.
experiments?
I'm not really hoping to show. I want to see if there is a constant attractive force with between masses. And but I mean, we keep asking them. You've already got the fucking setup built. Show us some non-conductive shit. I've only seen it once. I've heard about it a couple times, but I've only seen it once, and that was blues, and it didn't work. And that was sand. I want to use concrete. I'm gonna use sand. I'm gonna use
Show gas. They have to show gas attracting mass or something. Mass attracting gas or something. If they don't have that, like they ain't gonna really do nothing for me.
Fair enough.
Yeah, that conclusion, mass attracts mass, bothers me. I don't know why. It's just like it's so non-specific. Just some of one stuff attracts some of the other stuff. No idea what it is.
No, like I said, when you get all the electromagnetic variables down just right, you get gravity. It's like, what the fuck is that, right?
Not only that, you could have that on a flat Earth. That doesn't even if it did come out, all right, all mass attract. Okay, so what?
And what's their definition of stuff? Is that it's stuff that resists acceleration.
Yeah, right.
I mean, there's obviously a very weak electrostatic force. To me, as far as how up and down is, I think I've showed it pretty clearly in my videos with the frequency. I mean, they levitate fucking boulders, dude. Big giant planks of fucking concrete. I mean, not big giant planks, but 80-pound planks just sitting there hovering. I'm not talking about just some tiny little fucking force. I'm talking about like a reality type of force. And then they shake the fish tank. I'm not talking about just like a little test tube of water. I'm talking about an entire fucking fish tank. They flip it upside down and pump air in it, shake it, and everything flips. You pull the boat down and it fucking floats back up, upside down. I mean, it's so the Earth is obviously, it's got its own frequency. We're probably fine tuned to that frequency. We don't feel it because that's our frequency. Like I said, you could flip whole tanks upside down just by shaking something at the right frequency, man. And same thing with sound. Sound creates the vibrations that levitate heavy shit, not just some teeny little fucking force and lifting hair or sticking a balloon to the wall. I'm talking about lifting fucking boulders. I'm talking about reality. What we have in fucking reality. So that's my say on that.
Speaking of this whole gravity thing, Travis sent me a article, and I think we've touched on this a few times. Gravity is not uniform; it varies geographically, and it shows Indiana, Illinois, and Ohio in the United States, and the different gravity anomalies that are said to be across those 3 states. And I thought there was a couple of interesting things here. Maybe he'll tell us why he thought this was cool if he joins. But the law of gravity may be universal. Gravity itself varies considerably across the Earth. Most factors can be mathematically accounted for. Local geology is the odd one out. There was a couple other things in here that I thought were worth talking about. It talks about a latitudinal effect, rotation. Of course, the person who wrote this thinks the Earth's a ball. But altitudinal effect. 4th differentiator, tidal pull of the moon and sun. Although this has visible, repetitive, and significant effects, the ebb and flow of sea levels, the variations this causes in the Earth's gravity are very small indeed. Well, how small are they?
If it was pulling all that water, your scale, the weight on your scale would be different. When the sun's over you, as opposed, like if there was a solar eclipse over you and a solar eclipse antipodal, it'd throw your scale off crazy. If it's pulling all that water.
I just bought a scale, man. Well, actually, I had one. I had a couple of the fuckers, but I got a good one that measures to like the 100th of a gram of digital. That's the first thing I tried with these lead balls, is putting one heavier and putting it right under the scales to try and get it, 100th of a gram, and you're talking some real heavy lead balls. But the only thing is it'll only go up so high. But yeah, I couldn't get it to budge even a smidge. The next thing I was gonna do, I just did this yesterday. I was gonna like park my truck over the motherfucker where it almost touches the block of the engine, to see if I can get it to lose 100th of a gram. I don't know if that would prove anything, but they linked like the moon to the tides because, I mean, it's something similar probably working on them. The time, the tides fall back about an hour every day, right?
This is super simple. If the sun and moon was pulling all that water, your scale would weigh different. There's like nothing to even debate about. It's over. They lost.
Yeah, I agree.
That doesn't happen. That doesn't happen.
Have you tested it, Jeremy?
Jeremy, that interaction requires.
All you have to do is look at the tidal nodes. You look at the tidal nodes, and if you try and tie it to the moon, looking at the tidal nodes, that's laughable. But the time of it, like I said, the moon falls back to about an hour every day, and so does the tides. Okay, that's the only link to me.
Jeremy, the way that you're describing it, as far as the waters in a scale, it requires 2 masses, and the bigger both masses are, the bigger the gravitational force. So if you're talking about the moon being massive, sure, and then you're talking about the ocean being massive, sure, yeah. We should be able to see those effects. If you talk about the moon and then some like 100 gram weight on a scale, That's a very, very tiny mass. So when you're talking about
You
the
wouldn't
same
mean
mass,
like
then it won't be
M1
that
times
great.
M2 over distance squared,
Hold on,
would
Brian.
you? It wouldn't have nothing to do with that, would it?
Well, the distance, of course, but if you're talking about the ocean and then a scale on Earth, it's basically the same distance. We don't
No.
even have to talk about that.
So M1
So the scale.
times M2, mass number 1 times mass number 2 over
There
the
you go.
distance.
Yeah, there you
Where?
go. So the distances are
Okay,
the
we
same,
know
so we
what
don't
the
have to
fuck it
talk
is,
about
bro.
those. But if you're
we
talking
know what
about
it is,
mass 1
right?
being the moon and both, mass 2 would be the difference between 100 grams and then the mass of the ocean. So obviously that is a enormous difference. So of course we'll be able to visibly
Bro, what
see
we're
effects or
talking
not.
about, listen, Bo, to be honest, have you ever looked at the tidal nodes? Have you ever looked at the tidal nodes on Earth on any map?
Wait a
Bio,
minute.
it's
Hold
so
on. Hold on.
simple, right?
Hold on.
It's
Don't
so
go there
sim-
yet.
so-
Biodual, are you saying that the moon pulls more on the ocean because the ocean as a whole has more mass?
It'll be more, the effect of it will be visibly apparent, and it's mathematically shown where, like Brian said, if we plug in the mass of 100-gram weight and then oppose that into another equation of the mass of the ocean, but we keep mass 1 of the moon the same in both, we're going to have a different effect in the end, and it's going to be vastly different.
How can you treat the whole ocean as a one unit? That's what it sounds like you're talking about.
Yeah, it's not a solid thing. It's each individual water drop.
Right, that's the same with the ice cube. You're going to have water drops, you're going to have molecules, you're going to have these things, but they're all connected together to be affected by itself. So it's the same with a bathtub. If you push on one end, all those vibrations and that force that you push, it's going to be affected on the other end. It's all just connected in that way.
That's not how water works. You can't pull
Same.
up on water and pull up the whole thing.
You're right,
Not all
but you can
connected.
affect the entire thing with one force. You can affect the entire thing.
There's problems, man. There's spots that the tides and the oceans don't do nothing at all, and they're all over the place.
I posted an article that talks about the weight loss when the moon is directly overhead. You weigh less when the moon is.
They can guess, they can guess and put up theories, some that sound better than others, but it's all it is. It's theories, guesses. They'll never know for sure, man. Gravity, they've already disproven this shit on quantum scales, it's not I mean, we can't show it. And quantum with the accurate models, models, what do they call it? The model, I forgot, but it's just not a factor. It's not calculated, period, in reality.
Pretty
Right, but at that
significant
level,
force.
that's-
So your article says we calculated it something like 0.48 grams lighter for a 100-kilogram person.
Yeah, because the gravity of the moon is so much less in compared to the Earth's gravity.
Doesn't seem negligible.
Yeah, it's not negligible, but it's very small when you take into account the distance and the masses.
Can we calculate
Brandon,
what
it depends
that
on
force
what question
is?
you ask them, buddy.
Can
Whether
we give
that's
a
big or
number to
small.
that
Depends
force
on what question
using
you ask
this
them.
data here? Probably, right? I'd be curious to know what F equals based on this. Using your universal law of gravitation. Anyway.
I mean, if they want to use F equals ma, that's fine for a mathematical model on how fast shit drops and how far something will go. That's fine. That's just saying how fast something falls and how fast something, a solid, on average, falls in air, in regular air. I mean, and then they just calculated everything around that. That's fine. It's a fine. It works as a mathematical model, but you're not going to prove nothing. If you want to call the acceleration of solids in air on average, fine. Call the average F equals ma. Call it 9.8 meters per second. That's fine, but it's only a mathematical model.
Brian, but if you concede that, that means that they can have the explanation on how people is upside down on the other side of the sphere.
No. I'm talking about
Yes,
if you lift something. Listen, pal. If you lift something solid up into the air, that's how fast it'll fall on average. You want to call that whatever? Call it what the fuck ever. You want to use that
but
as a
if you concede
baseline?
that whatever, That's what they need to explain how people is
No, but Silent
upside
Hero,
down on the other side of the sphere.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to
Brian,
concede reality.
No,
You're right.
that's little g, man. That's
Consider
little g.
reality.
You're talking about big G, buddy. You're talking about M1 times M2 over R squared. I'm talking about little g.
Right.
I'm talking about what we see in reality, not the fucking dream world shit. And I'm not talking about it proves anything. I'm just saying it's a model to just basically calculate how far something's gonna go if you throw it, or fucking thrust, or you could measure buoyancy from it. But it's math. It doesn't prove nothing. It's just a model.
math
Decent
math
model,
doesn't
though.
prove anything.
Yeah, I think math is the only thing that proves things, for the record.
Yeah.
Okay,
It-
what does 1 + 1 prove?
It proves 2. Proves that you have 2.
Yeah,
Proves that there are
that's
2.
all it proves. That's all it
I know,
proves. Is
but
2.
that's math. What you meant to
Doesn't
say
prove
is that
anything
what you
else,
meant
buddy.
to say is that this math that proves things
No.
cannot be applied to reality. That's what you
No,
meant.
Not in
5 times 5 is
orchestration.
25, bro. It doesn't mean 5
Again.
yellows times 5 fucking bananas equal fucking purple. You could put whatever abstract. It's arbitrary. It's
But
abstract.
math can prove things. But again, you can do math erroneously, of course.
1
Numbers
plus
prove
1
numbers,
doesn't always.
bud. Numbers
1
prove
plus 1
numbers.
doesn't always prove 1. I mean 2.
I mean, if we
Okay.
really want to debate about this, that's one thing. But math is the only thing that proves things. Everything else is just validation.
Well, I can show you that it's wrong, right?
No, you can't.
Therefore, it doesn't prove.
I could give you 100 ways it's wrong. 1 bucket of paint plus fucking 1 Chester drawers doesn't equal fucking 2 buckets of paint or 2
I
Chester
know.
drawers.
The person
does not
presenting the
prove-
math
Listen,
can
dude,
be
don't say
retarded.
it proves reality. This is a 2015 argument, dude. You're wasting
I didn't
our time.
say
I'm
that it
trying
can
to give you
prove
a little bit
reality.
of leeway. I'm trying to give you a little bit of leeway with the fact of acceleration and shit. Now you're going all the way to math proves
I'm
things.
not-
Math proves numbers. Math proves math. That's it.
What I said, listen carefully. Math is the only thing that proves things. I'm not saying every mathematical situation is a proof. I'm not saying that at all. Math is just the only thing that proves things.
Nah, man. I disagree.
Wrong.
Logic.
If I say I'm gonna slap you 2 times in the face, and then I'll slap you 2 times in the face, I just proved that I slapped you in the face.
I mean, if you want to take that
You
route,
see how
that's
math?
fine.
I don't need maths to prove things. Bio.
Silent
it's
Hero,
a-
what proves things then? What proves things?
Reality, right? Whatever
Reality.
you express in reality, if you can show it to be real, that is a proof of something.
Can you give me an example?
Yeah, water will boil when you apply enough fire all the time. That's
No.
proven.
You can shut down fire with water. So you're wrong.
If I chop your head off, you will die. Every time.
I don't know what does have to. I don't know what does have to do with my example. So
You
keep
said
trying.
put fire. You said put fire in water. I tried it. The fire went out.
No, I say water will
Regular
always
exercise,
boil
watching my
if you
weight,
apply enough.
watching my blood pressure.
Yeah, interrupt me in my middle of my
This
sentence.
is
Yes,
all, this is all
interrupt me.
stuff that's 40
Yes.
that beats any doctor's data. What you know about yourself.
Jesus.
Are you done? I said
Don't matter.
water will always
I
boil
haven't been sick
if
and I
you
won't be taking the
apply.
vaccine anytime soon.
All right.
Hold on,
Fuck
Jen.
it.
He's in the middle of a sentence. Huh? What?
Sorry, I didn't hear him.
Oh, that's all right. Silent. You done?
I'll repeat it. I'll try one more. I said water will always boil if you apply enough fire to it.
Oh, you're cutting out now.
It's cutting out bad.
Yeah, you're roboting now. Silent Zero.
I can prove that if I chop your head off, you will die.
How can you prove that to me?
By Matrix chopping your head off, man. You keep pissing him off, man.
What do I know then when you chop my head off? Do I know anything anymore? You got your camera on, Brian.
It doesn't even have to be that shitty. There are plenty of there's plenty of experiments showing people that get guillotined are alive for a few more seconds. So there's always exceptions to every one of these rules.
Brandon, it's like talking to fucking donkeys, bro.
No,
it's a stupid conversation.
Not
to be
on
honest.
mine.
it is, but let me
Not on
make
mine,
a point
Bio.
about this. regarding F equals ma. It seems like a pretty dang good approximation that you can use to calculate forces on Earth. The problem I have is when you start assigning the y and take it to big G. When you start bringing in the law of what is it called? Newton's law of gravitation.
Universal law of gravitation.
Yeah, exactly.
Because we can all agree we can do experiments and we can see how fast things fall on Earth and what forces are involved, etc. That is empirical data we can all agree on. So that's fine.
Yeah, it's empirical. Thank you, man.
Yeah, but it's the meaning that you give to the variables involved, how you define them, and what other conclusions you draw from them. That is what I question personally.
But Brandon, would you say that it's have you seen BioGeo's the Cavendish test?
No, I haven't watched any of it.
Ah, okay. But you,
oh my
you
God,
said that
man.
it's empirical. You're saying that it's empirical. Do you accept some of the experiments like Big Blue's Cavendish? If you've seen that?
Yeah, I'm
At one
perfectly
point, he
fine
proved
saying that
lead Bell's leg.
when you conduct the Cavendish experiment, that what the effect that you're recording or witnessing is a real effect that is happening. Now, how you define why you're getting that effect, that's where the interpretation comes in.
Yeah, but you agree that it's not just vertical; it's in every direction because the Cavendish is done horizontally.
Is that what he did? That was how yours differed. I didn't see it, so
they're all horizontal, Brandon. They're hanging on arms, bro.
Yeah, they're all horizontal. The Cavendish.
They're all horizontal.
So
Let me tell you what
just a
it is
vertical.
real quick. Let me give anybody who doesn't know a quick summary. Just a real quick summary. Okay, you take an arm, then you balance it real. Excuse me. You balance it real touchy center, and you hang it on the skinnier the string, the better. And then you have two balls at each. The longer the arm, then the better, right? So if you have a 3 foot, 4 foot arm with two balls hanging off each end, it's not going to want to stop. It's going to want to spin. It's going to want to move. So you got to be real patient in it moving. So that's how it's touchy enough. That's why I always say that it should measure the movement of Earth, whether it's horizontal or not. It's so touchy. It sometimes takes 3 to 4 days to stop. Okay, if the Earth was accelerating, it would never stop. Period. I don't care what axis it's measuring.
Why?
Right.
Why
That's the point right there, Brian. Is that you don't care to learn what's going on. So you're right. You're going to have these wrong assumptions.
Bro, common sense, dude. If something takes 3 days to stop and you can't even see it moving, bro, you need a laser hitting a wall 10 feet away to even see that it's moving.
I know, Brian. I've done
it's
it.
that touchy. So can I apply common sense and say that if I was moving, that it would, and it's that fucking delicate to anything, to a gnat farting. You don't think an acceleration would keep it moving, bro? I mean, let's be honest. You're gonna try and dog me, but you're being a donkey, bro. You're being a fucking donkey.
I know. I'm such a donkey that I've done this, and you're trying to tell me how it's done.
I'm not saying you're a donkey. I'm saying you're being a donkey. Not always being a
again, rhetoric. I don't care. So yeah, Brian, I understand what you're saying. I understand what you're saying, and I don't think that it would move in that way. What I would think is that if it's on something that's rotating, that it'll make it precess while it's in motion. But as far as it swinging and being continuing to be in motion, no, I don't think so. I think you'd have deviation in the form of a precession.
Would you agree that the closer toward the North Pole, the more the Cavendish would show movement?
No.
Horizontally?
It would be the deviation, no.
Okay, so then fucking a Foucault pendulum's out the fucking door, bud.
Right, the Foucault pendulum doesn't work the same way. That's a precession. What you're doing with the Cavendish is you don't want motion back and forth. All you want is rotational deviation. Right, so you can't even listen. You can't even listen to the explanation by someone who's done it, Brian. Have you done it? Do you have any?
I'm doing it right now, man. I watch Blue every minute. I'm doing it because y'all wouldn't do what I fucking asked. If y'all would have done what I asked, I wouldn't be having to do it myself. But all y'all had to do was put some concrete up there, put some fucking more sand up there. But when you did, it didn't fucking work, so you didn't do it. Okay?
I've never done it with sand.
I know, and that's our
Bio,
whole
I
argument
actually,
from
Brian,
everybody
can I get a
is
minute with
flat
him, or
Yeah,
Brian, can I
all
get a
yours,
minute with
bro.
him? Bio, remember when I asked you to check for those variables that you said didn't matter and you weren't interested in checking?
Which ones, Jeremy?
The time it took for the things to attract each other.
Yep, because what I was doing doesn't matter what you were talking about.
Yeah, I know, because you're not worried about variables. You guys aren't worried about finding out the truth. That's
Jeremy,
why you're
it's
not worried about the truth. Just tell us.
Jeremy, it's a simple question. The longer that it takes to come to rest and the shorter it takes to come to rest, in what way does that change the cause and effect?
Well, that was part of the cause that you guys got when you found out that distance mattered by how much time it took.
Well,
the time is
isn't that a constant?
Oh, all right,
Yeah.
go ahead, bro.
I'm sorry, Jeremy. I was gonna support you by saying, isn't that a constant? Supposed to be a constant? The attraction.
What do you mean? The time that it takes to come to rest?
Well, no. If it's a constant, you should be able to do the maths on how long it should take for those things to attract.
Oh, they will attract instantly. The math comes in by how much it will deviate, and that'll be proportional to the mass that you introduce on the outside. The time that it takes to come to rest after the acceleration due to mass attracting mass, the time that it takes to come to rest will be a number of factors, including air resistance, which is why when I pulled the vacuous condition, it took so long for it to come to rest because there was less air resistance, so less material to slow it down, so it just took a long time to come to rest. But the attraction of mass attracting mass happens instantly. It just won't come to rest, so you can measure that deviation instantly. That'll take time.
When you did yours, after you left it alone for a long time, were the small balls and the big balls, I don't know what you used, were they next to each other? Did they end up clinging to each other?
So not clinging. I posted in the chat if you want. There are timestamps because I know it's 28 hours. I don't expect anyone to watch every minute, but those are the timestamps with the descriptions. So when I introduced or removed a mast, so long as I don't bump the chamber, you can see a instant attraction, or I don't know how to describe it, like a let go. When you remove the masses, you can see that it's like let go of this force, so it's going to start moving. As far as the resting points, no, they're not going to be like chamber wall to chamber wall connected. It'll just be enough force to deviate it, but the torsion of the wire prevents it from being attracted forever. So it's that interaction between resistance and that force that gives you that deviation, essentially.
So the resistance from the wire is stopping them from clinging to each other, it sounds like you said.
Right. So if let's just say that wire has no torque and it could be spun, it could be rotationally spun forever, then sure, there may be a chance that it'll rotate all the way to that. But you have that torque that prevents it from rotating forever.
But
So
it'll attract against that wire, but it won't come to rest against that wire.
So the torque value of the wire kind of dictates if it's going to be deviated and by how much, essentially.
Yeah, it's a whole other figure. They got to change wires to get it just right too, Brandon. But look, let me ask another question. Why, if it's just mass attracting mass, when Blue had everything set up perfect, and instead of the lead balls, he hung sandbags, why did it stall, Biodual?
I didn't watch that, and I didn't use sandbags. I'm only speaking to what I did.
It stalled for anybody.
Right. I haven't seen that one, Brian.
He had an explanation, it was, of course, electrostatic. Every time something went wrong, it's electrostatic. And that happened the whole time he's trying to get his experiment right. As soon as he got everything just how he wanted, then okay, now it's gravity. No more electrostatics. Then after everything was perfect, he used sandbags, hung them, and they stalled. And what was the problem? Oh, it's electrostatics again.
That was another variable Bio didn't want to account for, along with time, magnetism, electrostatics. What else, Bio? Do you remember?
Yeah, I know you're just shooting from the hip, but I'm going to ask you one thing, Jeremy. Have you looked at any of it that I presented?
No, because you didn't. You
No,
weren't
so
willing
you
to
don't know.
account for. You
So,
weren't
Brandon,
willing
we
to
can
account.
continue.
I'm not done talking.
So the
bro. I wasn't done
torsion
with my
value
answer.
of the
Yo, I
wire
wasn't
on
done with
top
my
needs to
answer
be
yet.
as thin as
Bio,
possible, so the
I wasn't done
resistance
with
is
my
as low
answer
as
yet, bro.
possible.
Is my mic low, Brandon?
No, I was
Yeah,
just
you're
speaking
good,
over
you're
you.
good,
That's my
Jeremy.
fault.
I wasn't done with my answer yet. No, I didn't watch your thing because you weren't willing to account for these crucial variables that could make or break you. So why would I watch you not your bullshit?
The best thing to do would be perform it yourself and account for those and show me how I'm wrong. That would be the best thing for you to do. But shooting from the hip on Discord, just calling out random variables without explaining any of them, then that's a little dishonest. So you can perform it yourself and account for them.
Brian just explained the
but you-
electrostatic thing to you.
And the same coin, you cannot claim victory by
Yeah, you're just words,
No, there is no victory to be had. This is something that was claimed before. There are thousands of iterations of this, thousands of versions. People do it every goddamn day across the world. There is no claiming victory. It's just
They do it wrong.
same old every day.
And every single one of those, they don't take into account every single variable that they should be taking into account.
Many account for every variable that you can think of. Many do. When you get to the professional scientific versions at universities and research centers, yes, they are going to account for everything that you mentioned.
Sure.
Me and my garage.
How do you know that? How do you know that, Bio?
Because
What do you think?
it's in the scientific papers, man. We've talked about these things. Even Cavendish, the first one to do this type of experiment, even he accounts for magnetism. I mean, you can reiterate that all day.
Hold on,
okay.
Lyle. We talked
take
about
that,
this
Bio.
last
Can you-
time,
okay.
and although he did switch out the weights for magnets, he didn't account for the magnetic properties of the material that he used, right? Because I think it was diamagnetic.
It's pointless, man. You tell me what number you want, and I'll give you a Cavendish type test to prove your fucking number. They had a number in mind to suit their model. They achieved it. It only took them a couple fucking years to land on the number they wanted, but you just got to vary the electromagnetics over and over and over. Vary the electrostatics, I mean, until you get it right.
That's not what you do, Brian. You vary the masses. But as far as what Cavendish
Show
did,
me one where they don't have to.
lead. He used the lead balls, but he also used the actual magnets. So rather than a diamagnet or he's using magnetically attracted material.
Right, but that doesn't tell you how the magnetic properties of the lead impacted the result. It just tells you the difference between the lead and the magnets, right?
Right. So essentially, if you're using, let's say, 1,000 kilogram lead ball, and then you use 1,000 kilogram magnetic, some type of magnetic material, I don't give a shit. If you come to the same attraction level, that means that magnetism is not in effect. If you're using the same size mass.
But he didn't do that, and it's not an
Who said magnetism? Who said statics, man? Static.
A number of you are bringing up a number of variables, Brian.
I'm not saying it's due to magnetics. I'm just trying to make the point that just because he used magnets and found out that there was more of an attraction, wasn't there, or a repel? They did have.
He said there was no. He said there was no magnetic effect when he ran that experiment. I'll find it quoted.
So.
But he does say that he found no change or something.
I don't think so.
I think it was experiment number 8.
It's not an experiment, bro. It's a test, and it's wildly fucking random until you get shit.
If you repeat the rhetoric enough, maybe it'll come true.
But that's the truth.
It's not rhetoric, bro.
It's
It's not a hypothesis.
The same goes for you, Bio. Keep repeating the rhetoric.
It's not rhetoric. Stop saying the word rhetoric.
I know. Yeah.
Don't call him bio. Biohazard. That's it. That's the name. Biohazard.
Listen, it's not rhetoric. It's not a fucking experiment. It's not a hypothesis test. That's for sure.
Yeah, I know. There you go.
That's rhetoric? You think it's rhetoric calling out your pseudoscience?
No, I think it's parroting.
Back it up. Yeah, what if
It's
you got
parroting because I'm calling out your pseudoscience?
No, it's
What if
parroting
you
because
got
I've
to
just
back it
provided
up?
the scientific method in the chat that you claim
provided
that
nothing.
is
You
required.
provided
Shut up,
I've provided
Mule.
that. Watch this. Watch the response. Go ahead, Jeremy.
All right. Let's
I'm not reading it.
Yeah, you're not reading it. You're right, but you're
Why
still
don't you
going to
say it out
claim
loud? All
that
right,
it's not a scientific method.
What was your
He's
hypothesis?
not reading it.
If you're
and
not
he is
going to
not
read
looking.
it, I'm not going to read it for you.
I don't have access to a screen. What's your hypothesis?
Maybe
Tell me.
one of your buddies can read it who doesn't think it's an
Why
experiment.
don't you read it? Can you read? I don't think you can read.
I've provided this about 30 times now.
You
I
can't
don't
read,
feel like
bro.
reading it.
You can't
I'm
read.
actually looking up
They
Cavendish.
measured the
can't even
density
read.
of the Earth, dude. They think they measured the density
of the fucking Earth.
Yeah, that's right.
It does sound kind of crazy when you think about it, doesn't it, Bio?
No, of course it
Yeah.
does. Of course it sounds crazy, but when you look into the methodology and the process
I'll
of
point out
determining it,
mistake.
everything does make sense in that way. But
I'll
yes,
point
in
out a
at face
mistake on
value,
your
that sounds crazy, yeah.
hypothesis. I'll point out a mistake on your hypothesis, if you want, Bio. You said
I'm not presenting it to not be
that
critiqued.
the mass of the Earth is causing the acceleration of falling objects, right?
Yep, that's my
So
hypothesis.
can you tell me
for that
on
observation.
Can you tell me where on your experiment you manipulated the mass of the Earth?
Right. So
Yeah.
what I did is I have this hypothesis that explains the observation essentially, and then I create an alternative hypothesis that I can incorporate into an experiment. Because if the
Answer
hypothesis,
question. You're not
if
answering the question.
I'm going to. No, hold on. I'm going to. I can't test the
Answer the
hypothesis.
question, and I'm going
I
to keep
can't
going. Answer the
finish my fucking
Hold on, let him
question or
finish.
answer
Let him
if you don't
finish.
let me
Answer
finish,
the
Jim.
question.
There's like
Every
5 of
goddamn
us
day,
and one of
Jim.
him. Let's let him finish.
Yeah,
So,
every day
the
you
hypothesis
live,
itself
every
is
day
just.
you live, I'm going to
There
be
we
on
go.
your case. Hazard, biohazard.
Right, are
Every
you
day
done, Jen?
live.
I'm gonna wait for you to be done because obviously I can't overtalk you.
Okay, well I'm done at the moment, but answer
There
the
we go.
question.
You're done. Perfect. So the hypothesis is just the presupposition of the phenomena that I observe. That's my explanation. Now I can't test the mass of the Earth. I can't manipulate the mass of the Earth. It's just the presupposed cause to the effect. So what I do is I develop an alternative hypothesis in such a way that follows the logic of the hypothesis in a way that I can test it. So if the mass of the Earth is causing this acceleration, that means the mass of other objects should also cause an acceleration. So I developed the alternative hypothesis to test that principle. That's exactly what I'm
get right down to
No way.
nitty-gritty.
Absolutely no way. There is no way that you can correlate what you think the mass of the Earth does to the mass of a lead ball. Let's say, for instance, the mass of the Earth has a property that does attract me to it, but the mass of the lead ball doesn't. And you cannot correlate that. That's an absolutely fallacious conclusion.
No,
I was gonna point that out.
Yes, it is.
It's not fallacious at all because if the hypothesis is true, well, go ahead. Never mind.
You don't know what property. You don't know what. You don't
It's part of the experiment, right?
know what property. You don't know what part of. You don't know what property of the Earth attracts me to it, so that
Right,
you
but we can
can't
run these
say that
experiments with
every other object.
many types of material.
Okay, but you have to base. Hold on. You have to then base your alternative upon something that you have experimented and concluded, not just made up in your fucking head.
That's what a hypothesis is a presupposition to the explanation of the phenomena.
Well, that's all you
It's
have.
all just made up in our heads, of course.
Bio, I gotta agree with Travis here. I don't understand how the mass of the Earth is involved in this experiment at all. Well, you are drawing a parallel between this experiment and the acceleration of objects falling to the ground. I don't see the connection.
Right, I just explained it. The logical conclusion of if it's true, if the mass of the Earth is actually causing this acceleration, then that means other masses should cause an acceleration as well. If we experiment with many different materials and many masses and there's no attraction, then that means the original hypothesis of the mass of the Earth
This is not
causing
how
acceleration
science works.
is false.
Wrong, because you first you gotta prove. Hold on.
Okay.
First you gotta demonstrate.
Listen, if I were on the lid.
First you gotta demonstrate. Am I coming through? No.
You are, yeah.
Yeah, you're coming through. Yeah.
All right. In first step, you gotta demonstrate that in actuality is the Earth who is attracting or making things accelerate. You cannot say, well, the Earth the mass of the Earth is making this shit accelerate. You haven't demonstrated that. You haven't proved that.
Silent. That's why it's a hypothesis. That's the presupposition that I have.
No. But you have.
That's what I have.
But you haven't manipulated the mass of the Earth. So therefore, you haven't shown it.
If we knew the Earth was attracting if we knew that the mass attracts mass, we wouldn't have this experiment. I wouldn't have this hypothesis. We would just move forward with other things. What's in contention is whether or not mass attracts mass.
Directions are relative,
so that's why my hypothesis is the presupposition that mass attracts mass.
So
That's what I'm
Isaac Newton
testing.
didn't
That's the
agree with
hypothesis.
mass attracting mass. Remember, so Isaac Newton thought it was an absurd idea.
Jen, I
Yeah?
don't give a fuck about anybody else. I performed an experiment.
Well,
I have
you
a
should
scientific
do,
method
because he's the
provided.
man credited.
You don't like the
You're the fucking
conclusion,
said
so you
mass
claim that it
attracting
doesn't
mass. You
exist.
believe you're
I've given you step by step the scientific method that you require,
Your
and it's still not
biohazard,
good enough.
you haven't
This
got
is the
anything
goalpost
in
shit
the
that I'm
realm of
talking about.
scientific
I'm pointing no, 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 no. I'm pointing out where you're wrong. You just don't admit it, bro. Bio, I'm pointing out where the mistake
Guys,
you're
guys,
doing,
guys,
bro.
guys,
You're
we're starting to get into that mode where we're all talking over each other. Please just slow down. There's plenty of room, plenty of time.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, biohazard, you got nothing. You got nothing. You've proven nothing.
all right.
Great
I'm
addition to the
pointing out.
conversation, Jen.
I'm pointing out where the mistake on your hypothesis is, and you won't admit it, bro.
I just
Well,
clearly
no.
stated that the hypothesis is the presupposition explanation for the phenomena. So yes, the
Then you
mass
gotta
of the Earth is
demonstrate.
causing.
phenomena is that?
Then,
God, dude.
then you have to demonstrate that your hypothesis is true or is false based on experimentation.
Right, I'm
Your
trying to validate it.
hypothesis is, hold on, and your hypothesis is that Earth, the mass of the Earth, is making things accelerate. So that's the first step that you gotta test. You
Right,
don't
and
go
I
and
clearly
say,
explained
"Oh,
why we can't."
hold on, I wasn't done. You cannot say I hypothesize that the Earth is making things accelerate. The mass of is making things accelerate towards it. Now I'm gonna take other two different masses and I'm gonna make it see if they accelerate towards each other. You're not testing your hypothesis right there.
Silent. Did you not hear my explanation in which why the
I
reason
have
why
heard
I
it.
have no? You can't fucking hear it if you keep interrupting. The reason why I have an alternative hypothesis is because I can't do anything with the mass of the Earth. I can't do a goddamn thing.
Exactly.
You
What
show
I
us,
can
prove
do.
it.
Here we go.
Show us.
There's four people. There's four
End
people
of.
interrupting.
Whoa, come on, man. Let him finish.
He did. He was finished.
No, he wasn't.
No, I
He wasn't
wasn't. I'm
anyway.
still explaining why I have the alternative. So
You-
I can't do shit. I have a hypothesis that explains the phenomena. That is my presupposition,
That's
my
you've already
hypothesis.
said this.
So now I know everyone has to repeat every goddamn thing because no one's listening.
Are you just
now
going to
I
say
have
the same
that.
thing? Are
So
you just
yeah,
gonna
I'm going
say the
to. I'm
same
going
thing?
to because
I'm
obviously
gonna tell
Silent
you
didn't
what
hear
you're
me.
going to say.
I
No,
don't
how about you
care
tell
if
me
he
what you want me
repeats
to
it.
say?
Just let him fucking finish, please.
I have the alternative hypothesis because I need something to test the principle against. And the principle of it is that mass attracts mass. So my experiment needs to test whether mass attracts mass.
Okay,
so I
great.
You haven't
build
demonstrated.
an
No, 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 no.
alternative. Go fucking
You haven't
ahead, man.
demonstrated. You haven't demonstrated that principle to be true. That's what I'm telling you, idiot. You haven't demonstrated the fucking principle
Hold
to
on.
be
Wait,
true to apply it to
hold on.
something else. Holy shit.
I'm next. I'm next.
We haven't even got that far. We're still
I'm
talking about the hypothesis.
May I go?
Go ahead.
Yeah.
But now you're demonstrated the principle
Yeah,
already.
let Travis go. Let Travis go. Since Bio can't finish, we'll let Travis go.
Thank you, Howard.
You're welcome.
Okay. Please, and I'm not being a dick here. Please provide a citation or a paper or a description of creating an alternative test that you can prove your hypothesis when you can't test your hypothesis. If you have an hypothesis that you cannot test by manipulating anything, you show me where they say, oh, if you can't do this, then just make something else up, and if that works, you can put an equal sign between it. Go.
Right. This is the bad faith
No,
conversation.
no. I don't want you to explain.
I know what you
anything.
want. I know what you want, Travis. I know what you want.
A citation upon which you base your privilege to create an alternative test when you can't test your hypothesis. Go. You can't. Thank you.
Oh, I'm sorry. Am I supposed to bend over backwards and suck my own dick when you ask in 2 seconds? I can't take some time to do this research of this arbitrary requirement that no one has ever had before?
You can respond simply by saying, okay, Travis, I totally hear what you're saying. I'm going to find you.
Okay, Dad. Okay, Dad. Okay, Dad.
I am your daddy. That's right.
Yeah, I know. Okay, Dad.
All right. We can have a good conversation, a civil conversation. Let's just try to walk through this. We're putting you on the hot seat, BioDuel, and I do appreciate the fact that you actually did something. So that's awesome. But I'm trying to rewrite your logical statement here so that I can process it in my head and maybe understand where you're coming from. So here's what I rewrote based on what you had written down below. If two objects in close proximity attract each other, then the mass of the Earth causes the acceleration of falling objects. Is that what you're saying, essentially? Is that your logic?
The logic would be if mass causes an acceleration to other masses, then it would follow that the mass of the Earth would cause an acceleration of other objects around it.
The answer is yes. The answer is yes. That's all you have to say. Yes. Confirmation.
Basically.
Yes.
I'm sure it could be written or spoken.
This is the fallacy of division right here. Just so everyone knows, this is a fallacy of division.
Yeah.
There you go. Anything but the evidence, right, Jeremy?
What is that? What is the fallacy of division?
What evidence? You haven't got any evidence.
Anything except reality, right, Biodual?
Anything but the evidence.
I'm asking for
reality.
I'll tell you if they give me.
You won't accept anything that's
What
reality.
is the fallacy
You
of
only accept
division?
things you make
I'll tell
up.
you if people stop
Anything but
talking.
reality.
So, because this one thing has a property, that attracts something else, then all things have this property. I can give you an example of children in a school. They take a poll to see how much ice cream each class eats. That doesn't mean all the students eat ice cream, because there's some students that don't eat ice cream. You understand?
Said earlier.
False analogy.
Yeah, that's what I said earlier. Okay.
Okay, if mass causes an acceleration of two objects in close proximity, then the Earth, being a large mass, will cause objects to accelerate towards it.
I mean, that's fair. I have no problem with that.
The problem is that he's using a principle that he hasn't demonstrated to be true.
Right.
Well, how
It's
would you
just a
even demonstrate
hypothesis.
that it's just mass that is causing it? That's what
Right.
I'm-
That's a good
Right.
question.
Exactly.
That's a good question, but we need step one. Does any mass attract any mass? That's
No.
step one. And
No,
if we have
because
this,
it could be a property
this, Travis.
about. Yeah. It could be a property of the object about which you don't know that isn't mass oriented. That's causing the attraction.
it's almost like I was going to get there. So let me just ignore Travis completely. So the first step is just seeing if any mass attracts any mass. And then you can go into steps of magnetism, static electricity, electricity in general,
Assuming.
No, you're doing great,
circular
Travis. You're doing great.
Your circular reasoning, dude.
Yeah, it's total circular
You're already
reasoning.
you're saying weight causes
And
this,
here's
therefore
flat Earth data. So there's no way I can get anything out now. So
weight is caused by gravity. Therefore, if it's caused by gravity, I'm going to look at these two objects attracting themselves. Therefore, gravity. That's what you're saying, dude. It's circular reasoning.
I haven't made any claim yet because I haven't even talked about the experiment.
Your
All we've
Yes,
done
you
here,
have.
here we
Your
go. Here we go.
experiment is based in that
Again,
circular
it's every
reasoning.
single time, man. It's every single time. I can't get out a sentence. I can't get to a period before I'm
Because we've
interrupted.
heard you say this already. We've already heard you say all
Right,
this.
and I'm making it clear because Flat Earth Data just entered a conversation we've been having for 30 minutes.
Does
He has no
mass
idea.
bio
Biodual, you don't listen.
Guys, we are like 6-on-1 on this guy, and we're tearing apart his experiment and what he wrote in the hypothesis. We gotta at least give him a chance to defend himself, please.
We've only gotten to the hypothesis, so no. At this point in the experiment, in the scientific method, no. I make no claim to the results. There's no conclusion. We're only at the hypothesis right now.
You don't even have a hypothesis. What's your hypothesis?
Oh fucking god, man!
You don't have one. What's your hypothesis?
He's got it written right here. His hypothesis is, I hypothesize that the mass of the Earth is causing the acceleration of falling objects. That's his hypothesis.
Yeah, it's not a valid hypothesis.
How
It's
did
not a
you
valid
eliminate?
hypothesis.
Right. How did you
It's over.
eliminate any other variable? How did you
It's
eliminate
over. That's
Do you
electromagnetism?
see
How
the
did you
scientific dishonesty here?
anything?
Because we're only at the hypothesis.
No,
And the
it's not a
hypothesis
valid
is
one.
a presupposition of what's happening.
don't
That's all it
know
is.
anything.
I have no evidence
All
at this
you
moment in
know-
time. I have no evidence to make claim that my hypothesis is true. I only have a presupposition, and that's what I want to
All
test
you
in the
can
future.
describe is
But
the
that's
event.
all
don't-
we're at right now.
You don't have a. You don't
All
even
you
have
can
a.
describe is the event.
You don't even have a valid hypothesis. So you need to start over or something.
So why do you say it's invalid, Jeremy?
Sorry, Jeremy.
Just,
I'm gonna.
I want to understand what you're saying. Why is his
Say it again.
hypothesis invalid?
Say it again. Say it again.
Okay.
I'm
I
gonna
hypothesize that the mass of the Earth is causing the acceleration of
okay.
falling objects.
So the mass of the Earth is the cause of something. So that's your independent variable that you need to systematically manipulate. Can he do that?
Yes. No.
He can manipulate the. Who said yes?
Jeremy, you said the hypothesis is invalid. How is the hypothesis not?
I'm
Not how do
telling
I
you
test
right now.
these things,
Shut up.
if I can or
Shut
not.
up.
How is it invalid?
Shut up.
Because you're assuming the mass of the
Can
Earth
you
is the
manipulate-
cause.
Oh.
Right, my presupposition.
Yeah.
You're right. So again, how is the
You
hypothesis
can-
itself invalid?
But,
So how do you
I'll
vary
say to you,
different
Bio.
masses of Earth to determine mass is the
We're,
cause
we're
of
not.
it?
We're not at that step yet. We're just talking about the hypothesis.
Oh,
Bio,
we're not at that
you
step.
cannot.
That's where you're going.
You cannot have something on your hypothesis that you cannot actually manipulate as the cause.
All right,
That's why your
citation.
hypothesis is invalid.
I'll pull it from Travis's book, citation for that. But again, we're only at the hypothesis. That is my presupposed explanation.
We'll
to the
provide
observed
you
phenomenon.
with this.
That's all.
We'll provide
We can
you
figure
with
out everything else later on, but right now, that is my explanation.
We will provide you a citation after you provide the citation I asked for, because you were addressed first, not we.
I'll tell you what. If I can
Guys,
find this citation while talking to 6 or 7 people, I just want you to suck my dick afterwards. All right?
Jeremy was right. You cannot
Give
use.
me a magnifying glass so I can
just
find
to clarify,
I know,
it's not-
microscope,
it's-
blah, blah, blah,
Hey,
yeah.
just Biodeal, just to clarify, it's not a dick, it's a gherkin, okay? So just to ask
Yeah, I know.
properly, you want your gherkin sucked, right?
Yeah, it's all of them. Whatever you want it to be. Sure.
Where does the hypothesis come from in the first place? Where did it originate from?
To be totally honest, from this conversation. But as far as the explanation, it's just presupposition. It's my imagination.
So I've
No.
captured some-
It is your imagination.
What I'm saying is,
You're imagining
why
a
is-
cause, and you
why
have
is
no
it
way
that
to
you're
test that
presupposing
cause.
it, yeah.
Where did
You
it
have no way to
come from?
test
Where-
that cause.
why-
It's complete imagination.
Yeah, I
That's all it will
presupposed it.
ever
You're right.
be.
You're 100%
Yeah,
right.
but
I
it's-
presupposed it.
How do
yeah.
you get out of imagination land, bro? Take us to the next level of reality. What do we do, bro?
What do? We test the.
Yeah.
When do we
enter reality in your hypothesis?
When do we enter reality? Probably the validation towards the end. Right now, it's just the presupposition
Okay,
part.
so the imagination is massive Earth causes. Can you
Yeah,
show
yeah.
me other? Can you show me other planets with other masses and the different causes?
Oh,
Can
no.
you
We're
show
just
that?
talking about this one experiment and the steps to the
Yeah,
scientific method.
your-
If you want to
your
get to other things,
imagination
we can
land-
obfuscate and change the subject. But we're just talking
Your
about one thing right now.
your imagination land says mass of Earth causes gravity, causes the attraction, right? How do you break that? How do you go into reality, dude? You can't. This is our argument.
We're in the presuppositions right now.
But you can't exit that imagination because you'll
No, we
never
can
be
through
able.
experimentation.
Okay,
Well,
you
let's talk
cannot.
about
And
that.
let
Let's
me
explore it.
explain. And let me explain. You cannot have several Earths lined up or several objects only in your imagination can you do this. So you are still have the circular reasoning. I have a supposition that Earth's mass causes it. I see this result, therefore Earth mass causes it. We haven't
even got to
shown
the
us-
results part. Do you see how?
But
Do you see how much you
that's the
spiral
circular
when
reasoning.
you skip
That's
the
the
steps?
seal-
We're going step by step right now. And Jeremy
there's
made
no
the
step
claim
to-
that my
there's no step to
hypothesis was
skip.
invalid. We haven't
There's no s-
invalidated it yet. The only claim so far is that the results of the experiment don't follow the hypothesis. We're not there yet. It is a sound hypothesis.
You
It's
cannot
not a sound. It's
test
not a
your
sound.
You cannot test your hypothesis, dude. You're in
we don't know that.
imagination land.
We're still whether it's valid or
Wait,
invalid.
what do you mean? I don't know that.
We're going step by step. We're not skipping steps
What
here.
do you mean? I don't know that. How do I not know that I cannot test the mass of Earth as a cause of something? I know I cannot because I do not know the mass of Earth.
Right.
at
So
all.
now you're going to develop an alternative hypothesis that follows the principle.
Again, but it's going to be circular reasoning.
No, it won't
You're
be
going
circular
to-
reasoning.
you're-
It'll be
you're going to- you're
developing
gonna
a
make a
hypothesis,
saddle.
and testing that
You're gonna make
hypothesis,
this is what
and
you're
then
gonna
either
do, dude.
validating or invalidating it, as well
The
as
saddle-
affirming or rejecting the null
The
hypothesis.
saddle
as well.
is your
It's not
imagination,
circular
right?
reasoning. If
You're
it's
gonna-
circular
gonna-
reasoning, then you're saying scientific method that you want is circular reasoning.
Honestly, FED, hold on. Honestly, I don't know why we're still having this conversation with you because you've said it again. I said this before. I would like you simply to show us the citation upon which you base your privilege to create an alternative test. Just show it to us.
So what I'm going to do is I'm not going to continue speaking to anyone, but I know what's going to happen is that I'm going to get shit talk the entire time, which will make me respond and stop looking for this. So you tell me, what should I do?
Actually, I've got a few questions for you.
You're just imagination, dude. That's all. You
Okay,
can never will ever know the cause.
Got it. I got a few questions for you, Baudul. I want to try to bring us back on track. I'm sorry, but it's just shit
I
talking
understand.
at this
It's
point.
direct evidence of something against their worldview. It is what it is.
Oh, this is bullshit. No, you're
so
not going to
assumptions.
gaslight
Here's
us.
the
No,
assumptions
that's
that we
bullshit.
have. The assumptions. I want you to know if you agree with them or not, and if you do agree that these are assumptions, how your experiment addressed them. All masses will cause the same effect. Would you agree that that's an assumption?
Oh yeah. That is my assumption that if the hypothesis is true, then yes, all masses would attract all other masses.
All right. Well,
That's
maybe I should
fucking
back
false.
up. Are you drawing a conclusion based on your experiment?
There's obviously biasism. There's obviously going to be some bias with the way that I word certain things, the way I explain things, the way that the experiment may be conducted. There is biasism because I already understand the physics behind it, but I'm trying to break it down as
Is
if I don't
biasism
know.
a word? Biasism?
There we
All
go.
right, so-
Rather than address the content of what I said, it's bias.
That it obviously you
Bias-
didn't test
bias
all
mule.
masses. We can agree that you didn't use all different types of masses, right? So that'll remain an
Oh
assumption.
yeah, no, I've used limited material. Yeah, of course.
So I have a question.
The
real
mass
quick.
of
How
the
did you
Earth
eliminate-
causes the acceleration of falling objects. That would be assumption number 2. Do you think
Yeah,
you're
sure.
okay? There's no other variable outside of the mass of the objects that causes the observed effect.
There are many things that could cause an acceleration or an attraction. There
No,
are many
no,
factors.
lifting something up. It's the only thing
Okay.
that causes it is lifting it.
So,
Lifting it
we don't-
is the only thing.
So you acknowledge that there may be some other properties besides just saying mass, which is just like saying there's matter there. That's all you're saying is matter attracts matter, right?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay.
It's mass attracts mass, matter attracts matter. Sure.
So-
mass is just the quantifiable amount.
All right. So we don't really know if there's any other variable outside of it just being matter that causes any of the effects we observe, do we?
Logically, we can think about magnetism, and we can take into account that when we get the material for the experiment, which is why I used brass for the inner masses to try to reduce the effect of magnetism as much as I can.
Is that the only other possible variable that you ruled out, magnetism?
So I also ruled out, essentially ruled out any kind of air current, such as wind or just AC from my house, because it was done within a chamber. So the pressure, deviation of pressure around the apparatus was eliminated as well.
Okay.
Temperature was another thing you didn't want to.
Hey, can I ask him a question? A couple questions. real
Temperature,
quick,
did you
man?
do? No, because once I'm done, you can. Temperature, you did anything with temperature?
I did not account for a temperature, no.
I'm telling you, bro, I went over this with him. There was mad variables that he did not give a fuck about.
Electrostatics.
Jeremy, I didn't worry about my balls either.
Because-
Electrostatics.
Yeah.
So electrostatics, no, not
temperature
directly.
No. How
Not-
about
not directly, no, I don't see
the
the
gravitational
influence of that.
deviation due to the moon and the sun?
Sort of. I'd have to really look at when it was done because it was done over 28 hours. So that means the sun and the moon would be moving that entire time. So I didn't account for it preemptively, but I probably could look back.
At least you don't think it's the
and
Earth
account
moving.
for it.
At least he
Okay.
admits it's the
That
sun
was
and
another
moon
thing I-
moving.
So we don't have to go through
that
any
was-
more unless you can think of any more off the top of your head, but it sounds like there's some possible other variables that you addressed either in whole or in part, and there's some that you didn't. Was that a fair statement?
Oh yeah, of course, yeah. The experiment obviously could have been better. It could have been more fine-tuned. It could have been higher quality. It could have been better materials. Could have been different materials, of course. And I have plans in the future to do a few things. One of those things is to do organic materials, attracting organic to organic.
Okay, that'd be interesting.
Okay, well-
all right. So,
Yeah, well-
the third assumption, it's mass that causes the acceleration. Kind of covered by the previous one, I suppose.
little
And
bit,
the Earth has the same property as all other masses. So this, whatever this property is of mass, that is it causing things to attract, you have to assume that that same property is causing objects to accelerate towards the Earth, right?
Well, the property would just be that it is matter. It would be the amount of mass is proportional to the attraction.
Mm-hmm. That's kind of wide open, isn't it? Just say matter attracts matter.
Right, at face value. But if you run the experiment, if you run the experiment and you have no attraction between matter, then there's no need to go a step further.
So if we find a variation of
like
this,
the sandbag.
if we find a variation of this experiment or this test, whatever you want to call it, where the two objects do not attract each other, can we rule out
Like the
mass
sandbag,
as being
Brandon.
the cause?
Chemo asked me the same question, and the most honest answer I can give you is that if you find a case where mass doesn't attract mass, my initial response will be the human who set it up fucked it up.
No, you just presupposed it in your answer. Hold on, BioDual. If we find a case where two objects don't attract each other, then that would mean that it's not mass attracting mass, it's something else, right?
If the setup and the methodology is sound and perfect, and I can't find a flaw, and it seems to be great, and there's still no attraction, then sure, you're validating the null hypothesis.
Okay, based on everything we just discussed and talked about the assumptions and different things that you did or didn't do during this experiment, would you say that it's still open for interpretation and no real conclusion can be drawn unless you assume or presuppose other things?
If this was the only version of this experiment in existence, then yes, that would hold true, as there is much more needed and much more things to be explored. What I showed is specifically to chemo, in which he claimed under vacuous conditions this apparatus would not move, it would not work. That was the sole purpose of this experiment. So what I've done is I've shown under vacuous conditions we get an attraction. So now, based on this, I will use.
Hold on, let him finish.
I will use I will use other experiments other people have done, other scientists, universities, all these things. Those people that do account for all of these variables and still show attraction, I'm only validating that as vacuous conditions makes no doesn't hinder this deviation.
But you would not say with your experiment that you have established that mass attracts mass, would you?
I think I've validated it, but I would not present it as a scientific proof or a law or anything like that. It would be I validated it, but more experimentation is required.
You validated the assumptions, but you would need to support those assumptions with other material that's not contained in your experiment, right?
Oh yeah, 100%, of course.
Okay, I'm done.
Brandon, that's hilarious.
Thank you very much, Bio.
That's hilarious because that's hilarious because when you do a scientific experiment, you validate your null or your hypothesis.
Exactly.
So he said he
proved that. But also, let me make another point, Jeremy.
It's ridiculous.
Let me make another point real quick, Jeremy. I've been waiting. As he said, if somebody shows me other objects that doesn't happen, then he'll consider. Okay, he said somebody credible. Okay, Blue Marble Science. Okay, with the exact setup that timed, calculated, and everything else, oscillations with lead. He switched out sandbags. They stalled. Okay, let me repeat that, BioDual. Sandbags on the exact setup that he had working to a T. Finally, after calibrating all the electrostatic effects, stalled. Do you hear me?
No, say it one more time, Brian.
Biomule. You hear that, Jim? It ain't biohazard, it's biomule. I still like going back and forth with you, man. But man, sometimes you're just not hearing us, bro.
I can repeat exactly what you're saying, man. I can repeat exactly what you're saying.
I'd rather you
Blue
go
Marble
away with your
Science.
citation.
Yeah, there you go. So Blue Marble Science has this experiment in which he
minute.
replaces the lead balls with buckets of sand or bags of sand, or sand in general is the material of the mass. And then he accounts for electrostatic forces in some way. And then when he sets it up, it apparently doesn't deviate at all. Like it deviates before.
Every time he gets an error, listen, every time he gets an error, he blames it on electrostatics. So, of course, when it didn't work, he went back to blaming it on fucking electrostatics. Look, let me make a point. Okay, so when you say, I mean, would you agree that physically elevation is linked to pressure and is also, linked to temperature? They're all pretty much linked. Your elevation has to do with your pressure. There's
a relationship between all three, sure.
Right, there's correlations, okay? So why don't we have a special force that we do all these calculations with when we pump something up with pressure and it just goes back down to equilibrium? Okay, we don't have a special gravity or some shit. When we heat something up, it goes back down to equilibrium, whatever it's around. It's all relative. Would you agree? But elevation, when we fucking lift something up, it goes back to where the hell it was, depending on, you know, its medium, just like temperature, pressure. But we have to impose some kind of crazy force. It's just the frequency of the Earth, man. It's just the frequency we're set. Down is down, established by the frequency of the Earth, and we're kind of fine tuned to it. So it's all the solid objects, man. I think that's easily proven.
Yeah, if I can, I'd like to just say something real quick. And again, this would be a monumental endeavor to do this, right? My accusation against the creation of a gravity force is based upon the supposition that the Earth is spinning, okay? The Earth was already spinning in their minds, but they understood and knew physics and understood centrifugal force, that when something is spinning, objects on that object move away from the center. So if the Earth is spinning and nothing is moving away from the center, they had to fucking create something that keeps us to the ground. So it wasn't that the apple fell from the tree and Newton said, why did what? It wasn't that Newton supposed what made the apple fall. Newton was trying to figure out why the fuck the apple didn't go up, because the Earth is spinning. Does that make sense?
No.
That's interesting. Is the force enough to cause something to fly off?
That makes perfect sense.
I would think so, but I don't know.
But why is it not documented? I mean, if that were the case, why didn't he document
Okay, listen,
it?
hold on. I get your question, Howard. It's a very good question, but this is always my question when we have these discussions. We got to go back to the very first time this idea was postulated, okay? What was it that presented this idea? And we, again, Howard, I don't know where you are, but I think I do. If you believe that everything you're given in history books is to a T precise about what exactly happened, I think that that's a gullible position, okay? We all know that we're not told everything about everything.
No one wants to take a crack at that? Because I don't know the answer at all.
Oh,
Oh, you're roboting, Howard. I'm pretty sure Newton was trying to explain what was going on with the celestial bodies. I think that was part of his motivation, but I could be completely wrong.
Right, but again though, all he's doing, he's looking at the sky. He cannot test what's going on in the sky. So again, we have to ask the question, okay, what was his hypothesis? If he's trying to figure out the retrograde of Mars or whatever, how the fuck is he going to test his idea? He can't. Okay, so for the longest time, he's going to say, I think this is happening. And all anybody could do is go, great, until you can fucking test your hypothesis, don't talk to us. But they keep going and going and going and going. I'm saying that there is a primary premise upon which all of these things are based that was never tested, never proven, never established, never manipulated, never repeated. These are all just fucking metaphysical ideas.
Well, I definitely agree with that.
Represented with mathematics. That's it. Yep.
Whoever just spoke, your mic is really low.
Mathematics don't make things real.
It's all philosophy, man.
No, but that's how they give it its form of legitimacy is by the well, let me phrase this carefully. It's a way to scare and entice people who can't comprehend it and people who just believe it. So
at some point,
that's wrong, right?
at
I
some
can do
point, the
mathematics.
media
to
got
explain-
big enough.
I can show mathematics of how Superman flies, right? Just because I show it doesn't mean that is real, right? Okay.
At some point, guys,
that's right there.
At some point, media got strong enough to where science couldn't even, there was like when relativity came out within a week, there was 1,000 scientists, all the scientists of the day, all the main scientists. I mean, basically, until they got written out of history, basically, they had 1,000 scientists or physician petition against it and all the problems with it and how it wasn't science. And that shows you the power of the media. All of a sudden, this philosophy, all this theoretical physics bullshit is now science. These stupid fuckers are calling it science nowadays. It's like, dude, are you kidding me? And we'll argue it. We'll argue that this shit looking up through telescopes is fucking science, man. What happened?
Don't you, Flat Earth did it, don't you use mathematics when you're talking about the diffraction limit and everything, and 1.22 times the thing? Isn't all of your things mathematics?
Yeah, so you obviously have to learn a language to understand it, right? And so it's not my language. It's the language that was there for me. I had to just learn how to decipher what it was trying to teach me, and then try to figure out why people believe what they believe through the mathematics. And then since you learn it, you can now tell the story using it, and then explain how the trick works. So yeah, you eventually there are practical mathematical applications that work in your computer. I mean, quantum physics is working fine in your laptop and your cell phones.
In real life.
Here's the thing: when you look at something you can't go to, can't measure, you can only observe. And what I mean by only observe is that the bare minimum is light on a page, and or the maximum, sorry, is light on a page. And so you're trying to decipher light. And when you can't go to it, can't measure it, you can just use mathematics to reify it. That reification is going to come from a metaphysical a philosophy, right, of what you think's happening, and you're going to try to tell that story the best you can, man.
Using observation and quantifying observation is exactly what measuring is. So you saying, "Oh, you can't measure it"? Of course you can measure
That's
it. Any
calculating it.
observation that you can, excuse me, any
No, we
measurement
don't.
that you can
calculating
I'm
it.
talking,
We don't concede
I'm
that.
talking.
We don't concede
So what
that
you
point.
can actually measure is you can measure.
You cannot
the light
directly
that's coming
measure
from it.
a star,
You can
my
measure
friend.
its movement.
You can't
Yes, you can
directly measure a star.
measure.
No, you
You
can't.
can't directly measure the light coming
Not at
from
all.
You can
Not one
measure
bit.
the lumens coming from a star.
Bro, you don't even know what a star is, man. Get off of it, man.
You can measure the
It don't
lumens
matter,
coming
Brian.
from a star. Yes.
What's lumens again? Where does lumens come from?
Where does lumens come from?
It could be a freaking. It could be a freaking. It could be a damn auditorium up there. Or what do you call it? A freaking Coliseum up there. Fucking 300,000 miles up with shooting stars. So you cannot prove anything with a telescope, pal.
You can observe and you can measure things with a telescope.
And declare. You can observe and declare. Okay.
Observe and
You
measure.
can tell me a story, but do you understand that it's just a story, bud?
Instruments, Brian.
Are we being honest? Do you understand it's just a good story?
Listen, all he's doing is validating the ether band. That's what he's doing right now. That's what I've done.
Shout out to Plain Truth Ether, man.
That's a
Everybody
nice
drink.
assumption.
It's not
Nice
an
assumption.
it's not an assumption.
It is.
I've made an observation. I've described what's happening. I can show you measurements on my observations with measured and not calculated, but measured and observed changes in elevation, size. I can show you all that shit.
It's ever present. The ether band is listen. The ether band is ever present.
What is ether?
Air.
Air.
Oh, air is ether?
Okay. So
okay,
you
listen.
prove air.
Hold on. Listen. I'm not new here. I've been around for 3 years. Okay, all of my stuff is public.
Then
It's on
stop
my
acting like it.
It's on my channel.
And stop acting like it.
So we have
Stop
air.
acting.
We know.
Wait. Hold on. Stop doing what?
Stop acting like you've been here for 3 minutes then.
Okay, what does that mean? How have I done that?
It means if you want to actually define ether, say you've measured it, show me your measurements.
Okay, so we know that we look through a medium, correct?
I didn't say talk to me. I said show me your measurements.
Okay, that depends on what my claim is. Okay, so first of all, I'm not.
You have measurements. Show them to me.
They're on my channel. Watch my videos.
Okay. Send me the video with your measurements in them.
You can have a lot of fun watching my videos. So go ahead and have it.
Can you send me one video that has measurements of ether in it?
If you would like me to do that in my free time, then I can do that.
Dude, I just asked for it. Why the hell?
I'm driving right now, bro. Hey, listen, I'm driving right now, so I can't just magically snap my fingers.
Send it when you have time.
Yeah, thanks. I'm pretty sure I can figure that out. So,
can you name one way you can measure? Don't even give me the measurements yet. Give me one way you can measure ether.
Why would I need? Okay, hold on. Why would I need to measure ether?
You just said that you can measure it.
No.
You say ether, man.
No. Okay. I said that I have observations where I can show you changes and measure those changes. Okay. So I didn't make a claim that I could. I didn't make a claim that I could measure the air. That's not what I said.
You said you can measure all of the observations. You said you observed ether. You said ether was air. I said, cool, show me your observations. And you said, I can't show them to you right now.
Okay, great.
So I said, all right, just tell me how you measure it then.
Okay, great. Okay, look, if you're serious about this, then just
it's not if, I'm asking you. Can
Okay.
you just tell me while you're talking? Not even, I've already moved past you showing me your numbers. Cool, I'll grant you have numbers. Tell me, how did you get these numbers?
I didn't say that there were numbers. Stop,
Oh my
okay,
God.
stop putting
How do
words
you
in my
measure
mouth.
something without numbers?
Uh-huh.
How
Don't
do you
say
get
uh-huh,
your measurements?
Howard.
How do you
Don't
get
say
your
uh-huh.
measurements? Fine, forget
Yeah.
numbers now. Forget numbers. Tell me, how do you get your measurements?
Okay. If you watch a video of mine where I show you where a house begins in an observation, and at the end of that same observation, the same video in a time lapse, the house is in a different position, and then I show you how I take, okay, I don't do pixels, right? But I go to paint, and I put a grid over that observation, and those grids are measurements, right? So then I say there's 4 squares. The house moved 4 squares, okay? That's the basic approach, because it's that simple, of my observations. I'm just telling you that I've done those in my videos before, and they're there for you to see. It's not complicated.
Okay.
So RC Micey comes in here, talks about measuring shit, right? RC, this is how much of a fraud you are. Even into this modern day and age. Listen, buddy. There's several ways to measure. There's several ways to measure the rate of the stars and the galaxies, right?
Okay. Measure.
Each measurement that they produce shows significantly different results, dude.
Oh yeah.
And it's called the cosmological or the crisis in cosmology. Show you. I'm just giving you an update in your own bullshit measurement.
Different measurements.
Okay.
Come on, data. Give me some data.
Okay, so you want to know what's wrong with it?
Tell me where you say that they're different.
So here's the problem. It's known as the Hubble constant, okay?
No, you don't have to explain it. Show me your data.
The Hubble constant doesn't match the Planck satellite information. They contradict each other.
Show me.
They measure.
Oh, you know this shit.
They measure They measure 2 different rates of light speed. Okay.
Okay.
One's 46,200 miles per million light years, and the other one is 67 point. The other one is sorry, what's going on here? 46.
At the speed of light.
Okay, so I'll read it to you. I'll read it to you, dude. The problem centers on what we know as the Hubble constant, named for the American astronomer Edwin Hubble. This unit describes how fast the universe is expanding at different distances from the Earth. Using the data from the European Space Agency Planck satellite, scientists estimate the rate to be 46,200 miles per hour per million light years, or using the cosmological units of 67.4 kilometers per megaparsecs. But the calculation using pulsating stars called Cephids suggests it's 50,400 miles per million light years. So listen,
look up the axis of evil, Mikey fraud.
You're a moron. You're a moron. I'll tell you why you're a moron again, because there's several ways to measure the rate. Shut up. Just shut up. You
just straw
piece of
manning
shit.
because you're desperate.
There's several ways to measure the rate, and each way they measure it produces significantly different results, forming one of the greatest mysteries of modern astronomy.
Oh,
You are
okay.
a disingenuous butthole. I'm done with you, dude.
Okay, bye. So here's the deal. I asked you, you said you get ether bandiness since now Effie's done with his word vomit.
Why is this guy even talking still? He's talking about measuring shit.
Listen to him.
The little boys were talking again.
Meisty fraud. Look up Axis of Evil, okay? And then go do some observations yourself as far as ether band.
All right,
Don't come on this channel talking your crap, dude. Be
So
fair.
ether bandiness, help me out here. What method did you use to show that your house that you said you put on these grids and these squares, how did you show that they were moving? Ether bandiness? Nothing?
Okay, because he sets his tripod up, he leaves it there. Okay? He films over an hour and without moving the fucking camera, dumbass, and watches the fucking houses move. Okay? It doesn't take a genius. God damn, he's a fucking idiot.
Awesome.
Fucking idiot.
How does that show ether?
Yeah, where's the ether in that? That's just.
Are you guys thinking that he's talking about ether like Lemon talks about ether? What is it called? He's not. No, it's just a name he gave to the band of atmosphere. That's all. Ether band.
Okay.
Okay.
He's not talking about ether. Ether.
Whoa. So all right. So it's not ether. It's just ether band ether.
He just named it. He gave it a nickname, the ether band. He can explain it better, but it's just where all this refraction and fucked up phenomena happens when you look out over the Earth.
Okay, so ether bandiness. Explain to me your ether band versus and what you mean by it.
I promise you, he already has explained to you, Meisty, more than once. He just did it a minute ago. Okay? You know what he's talking about. You're not new to this debate. Quit being a fraud, dude.
I have never in my life heard him explain what he means by ether band. Never once.
He's explained it.
He said air a minute ago.
Because I've asked him the same questions. He has explained it.
Said he put grids on a camera. That isn't him explaining.
That wasn't your question, bud. You asked him how can he show that the houses are moving. Okay, that was your question. I mean, fortunately for us, this shit is recorded. Okay, so anybody want to see how fraudulent Meisty is? Rewind it back about 3 or 4 minutes and listen to his actual question before I pegged him down.
It's not gonna look good for him if he plays it back.
You said, how has he proven the houses are moving through in his observations? Okay, and which I answered. He mounts a camera. He leaves it there for hours at a time and watches it move throughout the day. That's what he claimed. Bring a real argument, bro. Bring a real argument, man. Quit bringing BS,
Is it on
please.
an equatorial mount?
Oh my god.
What does that have to do with anything, RC?
No, I'm asking him. What, like, where is the like? What's he mounting it on?
Just a camera mount.
It's
right?
on tripod.
Yeah.
Just tripod.
Yep.
Okay.
You know,
cool.
All he's doing is capturing this, among other phenomena. When you say the house is moving, this phenomena here that we've seen in the Skunk Bay footage, we've all seen it. This is just one observation of the many different phenomena that happen over long distances.
Okay, cool. So is and he thinks he's measuring the ether band by doing this?
That's his name for. I'm not going to speak for Travis, but that's the nickname he's given to these effects. Yeah.
All right. So he's looking through the atmosphere and seeing atmospheric effects, and he's saying it's the ether.
No, he's not saying
ether
it's
band.
the ether. He's calling it the ether band because it usually happens in a band around the horizon.
Okay, I'm back. I'm back. So sorry, but I hear you guys were talking, so you can ask me the question if you want.
Yeah, ether bandiness. What do you mean by ether band?
Okay, again, ether band is simply my term that I created, but it means ether refers to the air and all of the constituent variables that create what we understand as usually the atmospheric pressure, barometric pressure, temperature, all of those things together. Okay, so that's what I mean by aether. It simply refers to the air, and I didn't call it air band because of another connotation with air band. A band simply refers to the field of view at which you are looking. It can either be a broad, massive scope of, like, say, an entire archipelago island, or a very narrow focus if you're zooming in on that area. So the band simply... What?
I said, okay, I'm just agreeing. Okay, I'm understanding what you're saying.
Okay, all right. So that's the generic answer for you.
Okay. So I was just looking here at one of your videos. This ether band, right? Is your YouTube thing?
I don't know what you mean. My channel is The Plain Truth.
The Plain Truth. Okay.
I can send you something if you want. I mean, if it's easier.
Sure, I'd love to. So yeah, it sounds like you're looking at things in the air, and you're watching them change. And what's your conclusion based on that?
I have at least 3 or 4 different hypotheses that would challenge the mainstream scientific model for what happens in mirages. I think my most profound hypothesis is this: mirages are not vertical 90-degree images. Okay?
Why do you think that?
Well, it's not a simple... Okay. The reason why I think that is because we watch ships and boats go into the distance, into the arena of where the mirage happens. When they are in the mirage, they continue along the horizontal plane that is in front of us, just like with perspective, but you can't see the water now, right? So you're seeing a mirage, you see the boat has a mirage, and under the boat's mirage is the sky. But you're not seeing the sky, that's a mirror image of the sky, okay? So then what's behind the mirage? Water, okay? So water is hidden by the mirage. But if the mirage were a 90-degree reality, then the boat would disappear into it as if it were a curtain. The minute it goes in, you would see a shimmer, and then the boat would be gone. But that's not what we see. We see depth, and we see perspective, and we see the changes in the object due to the mirage.
Okay. Have you been able to reproduce anything in a lab or make another observation with more handheld, smaller objects that would reproduce this?
If you would like to fund the research that it would take for me to do that so that I can pay my bills while I'm not working,
sure,
I would be happy to do that.
Sure. How much do you need?
$1,500 a week.
A week?
Yep.
Okay.
Listen, that's what I make.
Yeah.
Bro,
Here, hold on.
listen,
Let me entertain this. So, what does $1,500 a week get me?
Well, if you really want to fund it, I'll show you what it'll get you. At the end,
Sure.
it'll get
Sure.
all of your wildest dreams will come true.
No, okay, hold up. Tell me specifically, what are your deliverables over, let's say, a 4-week period of $1,500 a week?
Okay, I would have to draw that up because I've never sat down and parsed out what those things would be. So if you're serious, which I don't think you are.
No, really. Like, I'm always willing to invest in something if it's going to get me what I think is going to be a return.
Great. Okay, how about this? How about you've heard me describe? I'll send you some videos. You can watch it. Take as long as you want to say, okay, this is what I think Travis needs to do in order to reproduce these things on a smaller scale model. And this is how much I think it should cost based on what his hourly rate is, blah, 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 whatever you want to say. And then say, okay, hold on. And then say, okay, Travis, I'm gonna pay you X amount per hour. And I think it should take you 173 hours.
Well, hold up. So you're asking me to come up with your proposal for how you should...
Hey, if you fund it, you put a boat up there.
hold on.
You fund
Listen.
it for a month, I'll bring a boat up there to help, man.
Okay, great. Okay, good. Listen.
I don't think you know how investment works, dude.
Okay, listen. Okay, listen. This is not a single guy's effort, right? Okay, this is not a single man's effort. If you want me to meet with you on a Zoom meeting and you and I hash it out together, then by all means,
No, that's not how investments work. The way investments work is like, hey, I know what I'm doing. I need this amount of money to be able to do it. Here's how I would spend this money, and this is what the return or output is. Like, this is not hard, right? Like, there's zero Zoom meeting if you know what you're doing, right? It's, hey, here's the amount of money. This is what I can promise to deliver on this, and this is what I'm going to use the money for. This is not a hard concept, dude. You've never done investing, have you?
No, I don't invest. No.
Ah, okay. So here's how this works. If I'm going to invest in you and your time, which I'm willing to, if you can actually show me that you can prove an output on something, the way you do it is you say, here's what I can output, but I need this thing, and this thing to be able to do it. Here's why I need this thing.
Right.
Will you give me this money so I can have this output?
Right. Okay. So just for an example, because I've talked about this before, I understand the concept of what you're saying in terms of investment. Okay. Brian just said that he would be willing to come up with a boat. Okay. So right now, I'm going to need you to pay for him as well and the fuel for the boat.
Oh, wait a minute. Why am I paying for him?
Because this isn't a one fucking man show, bro. I can't do this by myself.
Okay, so you
like
need a boat. Okay, I can get you a boat. I can get you a boat, no problem. All right, so now we've got that cost covered.
Okay.
What else you need?
I'm gonna have to sit down and parse it out. If you're serious, why don't you throw me a bone?
No, that's not
no. Listen, listen. I'm not going to bust my ass and parse this out, and then have you say, "No, I'm not really interested in doing this." If you're serious about funding this, then throw Brandon. Okay, listen. Okay, no. You throw Brandon $100 right now in the super chat, and I'll parse it out.
Why?
Because I don't know that you're serious.
Why
would I waste my time parsing out something that I don't think you're serious about funding?
Well, wait a minute. If you are serious about getting funding, then you parse it out and then you go look for people who are willing to invest. This is not me doing work so that you can think about doing work.
I didn't say for you to do work, bro. I said if you want to fund,
I don't even spend
how do I know you are even serious about this?
Are you an accredited investor?
Investor, $100 is not much for investment, right? To start off, is it, buddy?
Are you an accredited investor?
Hold up, Travis. You don't know. But if you know what you're doing, you don't need to know. You need to go out and actually look for people who are going to do this. Now, you can take my word on it and say, like, hey, if I think this is a good investment, cool beans, I'll invest in it. But the deal is like, you need to bring me something that I can invest in. Right now, you said, I probably need this, maybe.
Bro, he's got a whole channel. Wait. He's got a whole channel full of great observations and fucking good hypotheses, man. You act like you act like he hasn't done nothing, bro. You act like he hasn't done nothing. You're coming with sales bullshit, man. You're a fucking salesman. He lives in a fucking trailer. He weighs 400 pounds, dude. He ain't got shit. Are you an
accredited investor?
You mean I'm not a good investor because I want to make sure that I know what
I'm asking you.
You're a fucking overfat piece of shit, dude. That's what you are. So quit talking bullshit.
Are you an accredited investor?
Accredited investor. Nah, dude.
Okay. So he has no reason to believe that you have the money required for him to even spend 2 minutes.
You're right.
Trying to convince you. Right. If you can prove that you're an accredited investor, then he'll put some time in to show you something.
Okay. If you can define accredited investor, I will spend the next 1 month becoming one. Define accredited investor for me.
I don't think you understand what it takes to actually become one.
Dude, investor goes like this. I have money. You're selling something that will make me more money. I will give you this money for a return.
You're talking about funding, not investing.
That's what investment is.
No, that's not what it is.
Oh my gosh, dude. This is sad. So, do you mean
Bro,
a
if you
stockbroker
can't fucking
has-
show off with a little super chat, you ain't
Let me
got
ask you.
shit, dude. You
Let
ain't
me
got
ask you.
shit. Shut your
Maisty,
fucking
Maisty.
mouth. You
Yeah.
ain't
LIGO.
got shit.
Go ahead.
You fucking fat
Yeah.
piece
Let
of
me
shit.
ask you. The investment on LIGO, how much money is it bringing back?
How much money is LIGO bringing back? Not much.
Yeah.
Bad investment.
I promise you that
Well,
motherfucker lives with his mama, dude. I promise you that fat motherfucker lives with his mama.
I live with my okay. I haven't lived with my mama. I don't know.
I
What am
promise you live with your fucking mama, dude. You're a fat fucking piece of shit, dude.
Oh,
What's
man.
wrong
Nah,
with you
dude, I
guys?
I haven't lived with my mother in let's see, I guess it's been 25 years since I've been 18. Yeah.
Bro, if you were a fucking man, you wouldn't be hiding your name, you fucking coward. So quit acting like you have anything. Quit acting like you ain't heard of Travis. You've been around this shit for 4 years. Quit acting like you ain't heard of Travis. You're a lying fat sack of shit. That's it. Sorry.
I've shown my face a number of times.
Christ.
Man, triggered and love it.
I'm just fucking with you,
I've
man.
shown my face a number of times. Yeah. And I think a number of people in here can attest that no, I do not live with my mother.
Okay, so to be an accredited investor, you need to have an earned income.
Accredited investor now.
Yeah, you need to have an income that exceeds $200,000, or you have to have a net worth over
I'm just
$1
fucking
million,
with you, Mike, dude.
either
I wouldn't
alone
know
or
if you-
together with a spouse.
Let me apologize to Meisty. Meisty, you know I'm just fucking with you, dude. I have no clue anything about you, man. But I will.
But dude, that's why it's funny. That's why I'm laughing because
It was funny, bro. But look, hey, I will say this, bro. You have heard of the plain truth. I will state that for the record. You've heard of the plain truth. You've seen some of his observations. I think.
I'm Brian. I know that's why I'm not getting offended. Like, it's hilarious if somebody would think that I live with my mother, after having like a family and a stable job for 20 years and all that shit. Like, no, I don't live with my mother. It's laughable. My mother's a very nice woman. I would not want to live with her.
Now I don't know whether to believe you or not. That sounded like you're making up stories, RC. I got to be honest with you.
That I'm not living with my mother is making up stories.
Yeah, show us a picture of you not living with your mom.
Show me your accredited. Show me your accredited investor. Hey, RC, show me your accredited investor certificate, man. You work for somebody else, man. Come on, man.
Show me your bank account to show me that you're investing. That's an accredited investor. Nah, dude. Accredited investor is an investor who makes his money. How about that? An accredited investor is one who doesn't lose money while he's investing.
Well, I went ahead and I finished the proposal while we were talking here.
Excellent.
Ready?
How much you need? Yep.
I'll show you. Okay. I'm going to share my screen right now. Here we go. Here's the proposal. This is Travis. Right here. He's got a camera. He's going to take pictures. This is Brian. He's going to write stuff down.
Brandon.
This is you. Look at the money and the coins that you're going to have afterwards. You right here. $1,045.99.
Brandon, this is just great. Man, Brandon, you freaking win the day with this one. Shit.
Just for the record, the total is 666.
Yes,
but
thank
just
you.
two upside down nines.
$66,000 is what I'm willing to invest. Oh my gosh, that's good. Yeah, so Easterness, his bandiness, you need to come with a proposal.
Shout out Earth is Life. $1,500 a week to have Travis take pictures and videos of mirages. That's a great investment. It might be for some people. Who knows more about mirages than Travis?
Oh man, yeah. Dude, do you ever here's some entertainment value for you. You ever watch
Instead of being an investor, why don't you be a producer, RC?
For what?
Why don't you produce Travis's endeavor? You can produce it, and that means you can delegate what results you're looking for, right?
Why would I produce something that I don't know, or invest in something that I don't know anything about, or have?
You want to have a product you can make money off of, right? Well, that's what producers do, right? Producers get involved and they make a project. right?
I mean,
Because they
Brandon's
want to sell
funny, but I
something,
don't
right?
exactly see him making a profitable business. If Brandon's a funny guy and he hosts a good show, I don't see this being a profitable investment.
Well, what do you
He's
want
a-
to invest in then? What are you trying to invest
things
in
that
with Travis?
Things that make me money.
So
It's not a hard
what
concept.
would make you money? Teaching the scientific community on refraction and
One that's made me quite a bit of money lately is real estate. That's a good one.
so you're just teasing Travis pretending to be an interested investor?
No, dude, like I am a normal guy who does some basic things that most Americans do, which is like, I'm going to invest in something. If I put $1,500 of my money in something, I better be getting a good return on it. So if I'm going to put $1,500 in something like I do on real estate a week, right? I'm going to make sure that I'm going to get like a 20% return on what.
Well,
I do.
if you invest,
Man, down by the river.
if you invest in Travis, there's not going to be any money back. You're just
there's not going to be any money, bro. It's just going to be information.
Yeah, you're gonna have information back. No money. You're gonna lose. It's gonna be a total loss.
I'll give you 2 times as much information as Travis will. Just kidding. I don't want to steal Travis.
I'll bring 2 boats up to Brandon.
Hey, listen, RC Micey, listen. You seem to be under the impression that this could be done in a week, right?
No,
this can't be.
I'm not under that impression. I'm simply asking you, hey, what do you actually need, and what are you going to do, and what's the output here?
I'd say it'd take a year.
About a quarter mil, man. Yeah. About a quarter mil, realistic.
Guys.
I actually, my state. He needs a lot of time because he needs to be checking the weather on different times. That's what
half
he
a million
needs to be doing.
at least.
Okay, no, hold up. What are you going to actually produce? Tell me what you're going to produce here.
I don't know because the listen. Okay, listen. Hold on. Listen. There's no reason for you to be laughing right now.
That's hilarious. Like when you go up to somebody and like, I want to prove this thing. Well, what are you going to do? I don't know.
No. Listen. This isn't my field, right? So in order, listen. Okay. There's no need to get snippy.
I'm not getting snippy at all.
There's no reason for you to say obviously. I just said this isn't my field. You don't have to get snippy and say obviously.
That's the opposite of snippy.
Okay. So, again, I've made copious observations. I have plenty of observations to start to work through how to go through the process of doing the analysis. Now, in terms of getting tools that are going to measure barometric pressure, okay, I'm not only going to do that. Okay, listen, I'm not only going to do that where I'm located. I have to do it across the entire corridor.
Oh, cool.
Okay, so I would have to find out how much those equipment.
$70. $70 to get you per barometer, and I can get you. I don't know. Let's do 10 barometers. How about that? $700.
Okay.
What else you need?
Okay, look at me.
What are you gonna do? Prove which way the light ray is bending?
Right.
And then, how would you know that without knowing the actual position? What's barometers and temperatures and shit gonna do for you without knowing the actual position of it?
Okay, so what do you want to do there? Ether bandiness?
Again, I'm not going to spit out everything here off the top of my head because I'm going to miss something. If you, again, throw Brandon $100 right now, and I'll start. Because I don't.
Dude, I have zero to prove to anybody.
Okay. Well, then off with you.
Like the ask is here. Just tell me the basics of what you want to do. It's not. Let's prove how much money RC.
Look. If I'm going to have, hold on. If I'm going to have a controlled environment where I try to recreate with manipulated variables, I don't have that equipment in my.
What equipment do you need? Just tell me what equipment.
I don't fucking know.
Well, isn't that the problem now?
No, it's not a problem.
So how do you know you can reproduce it if you don't have?
I don't know that I can. I didn't say that I could.
You said that if I have $1,500 a week, I guarantee. I guarantee you I can reproduce this.
You said, "Have you reproduced these things?" I said no. You said, "What would it take?" I said, "Well, if you want me to find out, you're going to have to fund my life while I find out how to reproduce.
Now I'm funding your life, because before it was like, I just need to fund the equipment. Now I'm funding your life.
Okay,
Shit,
I'm not going to be able to work full time and figure this shit out full time, bro.
Oh,
that's what a commission is, bro. That's what a commission is.
Oh, now
that's
we're doing
how,
commissions.
Yeah, that's how Copernicus made his living. He wasn't a farmer.
Now we're doing commissions.
That's how Galileo. That's how Michelangelo.
That's how they made their money down back in the day, dude. You were commissioned.
You want commissions now? Well,
like a Patreon.
No. Listen, hold on, FED. Hold on, FED. It's obvious to me that you don't know what a commission is. Okay.
Oh, I know what a commission is, and
Then why are you making such an obtuse comment as, "Oh, now you want commissions"?
Because you're telling me all I need. Oh, you said you know how to do this. All you need are materials, and I was like, okay, well, how much?
No. That's not what I said. I said at the very beginning, my number of $1,500 was to supplement the fact that I wouldn't be working during a week. So that was the initial sum, was just for my time.
Wow.
Hey,
what do you
Earth
mean,
is
wow?
Life wants to weigh in here just to put some stuff on the scales here. Earth is Life says $5, $1,500 a week to have Travis take pictures and videos of mirages. That's a great investment.
No. I've already done that. This is why this platform and discussion is a joke with you guys. Okay, I've already done that stuff for free. Okay, I have spent my own time, my own money, taking these photographs. The next step would be to figure out if we can actually manipulate these things on a smaller scale. So
you want $1,500 a week to figure it out, dude? Like, I don't think you know what a commission is. If you think it's figure it out, dude, you don't pay commissions on figure it out.
Okay, well then you find somebody else who's willing to do something in
you
this
were
field.
offering this to me. I have zero interest.
Right. Look, and I have 3 years of research on the field that should show you that I'm dedicated to this topic, so that simply because
I don't care about your dedication, I care about your
Look
results.
at it this way, RC, you've commissioned him, you've deputized, you're going to pay his
deputizing now. Well, damn.
You're going to that's what you're going to commission. You're going to commission Travis, which is deputizing him to getting the footage and content for the mentioned subject content, which is what is the ether band doing, and can we take regular measurements at certain points and locations and take repeated observations and see the effects.
All right.
Right. So why can't you deputize him for that?
Deputize it. I have no clue what the hell you're talking about. But ether bandiness, what I am interested in is you actually knowing what you think you freaking need, or having a foggiest clue of at least what you could do to.
What happened?
Is that you don't even know what.
Okay, listen. It's not very difficult to understand the fact that I can make observations and not know how to analyze those things appropriately with meteorological tool. Hold on. Hold on.
You make observations and you don't know how to analyze them. You just said it correctly.
No, I didn't. No.
Exactly what you said.
No, absolutely not.
That's not what you said.
Absolutely,
Play the tape back, as Brian would say.
Okay.
If you're trying to find whether something's appearing higher or lower than its actual position, you'd need to know its actual position relative to your viewing, where you're viewing it from. So, I mean, what's all the meteorological data going to show? The temperature, the pressure, the humidity. Then what?
Right. Exactly.
Then you shoot a fucking bullet.
Yeah, I've already made those exact comments, Jeremy. Exactly. Because they seem to think that my claim has anything to do with measuring the barometric pressure. Okay, so everything, I'm going to make a prediction. I'm going to get all that data, and it's going to mean dick. Absolutely nothing, because my claim isn't dependent upon what creates the mirage. That's not what my claim is. So, outside of
just out of curiosity, Travis.
Yeah.
Would you look at your ether band as an increase of energy exchange?
What does that mean?
So the more levels of disturbance.
Okay. Look, Look, I appreciate that question because I've tried to say it this way. Yeah. When when I read Andrew Thomas Young and he says there is an abnormal amount of refraction, what the fuck does that mean, right?
Did you catch Q? My bad.
Yeah, or when Andrew Thomas Young or anybody else says there is an extreme amount of refraction. What the fuck does that mean, right? So listen very carefully. I'm going to say there's an extreme amount of refraction when there's an inferior mirage. There's an extreme amount of refraction when there's looming. There's an extreme amount of refraction when there's towering. There's an extreme amount of refraction. So yeah, there's energy exchange. Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so
no
hold
doubt.
On. Awesome. So would you also say that the angle to that energy exchange would increase the lower you got and decrease the higher you got? In other words, what would be indicating to you is that the lower to the ground you got, the more observing of that energy exchange you would see would interfere with your line of sight, therefore introduce more of this intense abnormal refraction, like you said, right?
Yeah, on a basic, in a basic answer to your question, yes, I agree with what you're saying. Yes.
Okay.
Yo, did you guys catch QE's video? I think it was Saturday on refraction and shit. He destroyed Andrew Thomas Young. I know some.
Yeah, Andrew Thomas Young is simple explanations for simple time. We got to move past that shit. We know better than this shit.
Was he contradicting himself with the waves? Is that what his primary error was?
No, he said the requirement for refraction is a medium interface, which the thing about that is we know that light bends through a density gradient, but he doesn't mention the density gradient. He thinks that light should bend like a pencil in a glass.
Wait, who's the he, Howard? Who's the he?
QE.
Okay.
So yeah, Andrew Thomas Young contradicts himself on rays of light, saying they don't exist, and then he goes ahead and uses them to for his stuff, and then he also they changed this equation for refraction so that if you try to use that equation on the pencil in the glass or the fish through the water, you just come up with zero, or I don't know. It was
there's tons of stuff. I've taken time out to do some critical Andrew Thomas Young assessments on my channel where I read what he says and just try to call out the bullshit there. I mean, he said in one part, basically we just make this number up, and I couldn't believe it when I read it. I couldn't believe it. We just make this. We just make it up.
If you don't know how to do a basic experiment with any of this, how are you going to call any bullshit on anything?
You don't even know what my claim.
You don't know what an experiment is.
Yeah, you don't even. First of all, you don't know what my.
He just said
he doesn't even understand what measuring is when it comes to the stars. You think you can actually measure it? No, dude. It's how you measure it, and when you, depending on what methodology of way of measuring, you get two different readings. That's what's called the cosmological crisis right now, dude. So stop being so stupid.
Tell us about the cosmological crisis.
They do not have a definitive explanation of the expansion and contraction of the Earth simultaneously happening.
They don't know how to end the trilogy. You know how George R.R. Martin, he fell way behind the HBO show? These guys are way behind the show without hope. So they've just gone to saying, We don't fucking know. That's the crisis.
Well, you got two different light speeds based on two different types of measuring. And then you look at the dark energy calculation. It has the cosmological constant. It has the Hubble constant. And it's wrong. So you're working with a formula that has a fundamental error in it to begin with. They don't match.
Are you a flat earther yourself?
What do you mean?
Who said
I'm
that?
not.
FED.
Who said that?
The Earth isn't a water ball in a vacuum of space.
That was Maelstrom.
So you're saying it's not a water ball?
I don't think it's a water ball, no.
Do you think it could be a bouncy ball, though?
I don't think people are living upside down, no.
That's peculiar.
That would be a pretty weird way to build something, wouldn't it?
Why would you think it is? Why would you think it is?
If the Earth was a giant bouncy ball, it would make more sense than being flat. Not gonna
Are
lie.
you the weirdo from Saturday I was talking to?
Which weirdo?
I don't know. You sound like a guy I was talking to Saturday with me and Bob Dole.
Do you believe in God, dude?
God could exist, but yeah, you need proof for that. I mean,
There's a lot of evidence for a creator.
It would kind of be
bro.
Do you know what the first law of thermodynamics is?
There you go. Talk to him.
Oh my God, not one of those. Oh,
Not one of those people that believe in natural laws. What are you, a nutcase?
Why do you hate natural laws, Maelstrom?
I'll tell you why. I believe the first law of thermodynamics is
many
proof God
laws.
exists.
I don't care about the order. What I care about is like, what law are you talking about? Which one are you referring about? Because I do know them. I just don't care about the order.
He doesn't even know what it is. What is it, Maelstrom? What's the first law?
I know a lot of laws, but
Tell
I
us the
don't.
first law of thermodynamics.
I don't remember the order.
First law.
Give us any of them. Give us any of the laws.
I think that's the
Energy,
first one.
matter. Yeah, energy.
Toby, why'd
and
you
matter.
tell him, bro?
Oh, he knows. He knows. He's just.
Yeah,
pulling
that
your leg.
one. Yeah.
He doesn't.
That one.
He didn't even know.
He doesn't know the order of them. It's different.
No, I just don't, dude. It's like, who cares about the order?
What?
It's only for convenience that we give it an order, because then it's easy to refer to it.
For me. That's proof God exists for me, because a God is the only way. A creator is the only way who can create a natural law like that for man, but be outside of that natural law for himself. That's why in the Bible it says that the earth is for man and heaven is for God, right?
The first law is pretty good evidence of a creator. I gotta say, that's probably the most solid one right there.
Why can't we see him?
He's shy.
You're lunar.
No natural laws
He's on
real
a
small
he's on
in
a light
space.
on a light.
That was just
Can't see.
that was dumb left lane. Come on, bro.
Your lunar mission for peace. Nixon said God picked America.
I mean, why do you have to die to meet God?
You don't have to die.
George
You
Harrison said
you meet him
George
when you die.
George Harrison said you don't have to wait to die to meet him. You can go meet him now.
I know a guy
Just
who
kinda-
talks
what
to
kind
God.
of what kind of religion do you practice?
I don't.
Well, why don't you go look what George Harrison practiced?
I know an apostle.
Josh has married one, actually.
George Harrison says that you can talk to God, so go do it.
Well, you could probably do, some kind of psychotropic or something like that.
I would do some DMT, honestly. If I was a young boy these days, I would be out there doing DMT, trying to find the fucking, I call that the spirit molecule.
The spirit molecule.
There's definitely something to that shit. DMT, yeah, bro.
Can't have no pressure without a container.
Good response.
The only
Try-
problem with psychedelics, psychotropics, is if you do too much or the wrong person does it, you're not able to differentiate the difference between tripping and reality.
Like the guy who basically worked at an orange factory and he strapped a whole bunch of LSD to his body and he got stuck in the back of the car with all the oranges. And so I guess he sweated and he ate a whole bunch of vitamin C and something weird, and then I guess he just ended up being an orange afterwards.
What it?
No, dude, he thought he was a glass of orange juice.
Everyone has a variation of that story, but I think it is based on some real shit.
What are you talking about? Everyone has a version of that story. I've never heard about that.
I doubt it's based on real shit.
There's like
heard that
5
story when
different
we were
versions
kids,
of that
man.
shit that
It
go
must
around.
be
Like
Florida,
he thought he
man.
was orange juice. He thought he was maple syrup. Different shit. Like Canadians say maple syrup. Mexicans say he thought he was a burrito. That kind of thing. Different versions.
Yeah, in Florida, we thought he was a glass of orange juice, man.
Yeah, it's Florida, man. What do you expect?
Yeah,
Was that
shout out
email
Dan the
from-
Waterman.
No, I
Says
don't
hi,
know what
Brandon.
the
What's up,
The
Dan?
fuck was that noise, by the way?
Let me just say something.
Taking back Eden FE. Want to know more about our Heavenly Father? What are his rules? Will you trust and live by them? Thank you, back. Thank you, Taking Back Eden FE. Much appreciated as always.
It is all throughout America, top-ranked colleges saying that if you do an experiment, you must the experimenter must manipulate the independent variable, which is your cause. If he has the cause, being the mass of Earth causes something, he needs to systematically manipulate that. He can't do it. It's not a valid hypothesis. End of story.
Now you can find more citations if you look that contradict those guidelines.
Not natural science, Howard. Howard, not natural science, buddy.
Yeah, I've done it. I've been to college and went through, all the. I've got a filing cabinet full of laboratory work, but yeah, it's not restricted.
Go get one. Go get one. Then.
I'm out on the road. I can't get it. But,
Well,
no, I'm just telling you, it's not restricted to those constraints.
You think that science can be done without manipulating an independent variable for causation? You think there's another way to do science?
Oh yeah, it's just you don't have to follow the QE method.
How would you know it's the cause if you don't manipulate it, though, Howard?
Yeah, it's. Well, you could. I mean, we could get into a deep discussion and argument.
No, it doesn't need to be a deep discussion. Just tell us, how do you know it's the cause if you can't manipulate it?
I'm just saying, if you
got Gordzilla 37. Shout out Gordzilla, $5. You guys remember Brenda? He was fun. Where did Brenda go? Thank you, Gordzilla.
Method is incorrect. What's another way to perform an experimental test?
Well, the question is, how do you prove that's the cause without manipulating it?
That's okay.
Well,
That's what I'm trying to ask Howard. How would you do that?
This is how QE invalidates.
No. Don't bring QE. I'm asking you, Howard. How would you? Because you went to college, you got files and files. Okay, give us an alternative scientific experiment, step by step, please. Go ahead.
I would have to access my records. I can't just spit it out off the top of my head.
Not even generic. I wasn't going to test your pass or fail you. I just wanted you to get like you don't even have an idea. What's the first step in your scientific process? What's the first step?
Well, you could just observe and make an observation of something happen without even interacting with it.
Okay, great.
This is the first step.
Hold on. Okay, hold on. So you've got an observation and you've got oh shit, what did you say? Say it again. You can observe something happening.
Yeah, you can observe something happening.
Okay, great.
And observe it over time and
Great.
come to conclusions without even interacting with it.
Okay, what's a conclusion? Pick an event that happened that you observed, and then what's your conclusion?
Every time that happens, it causes that to do that.
So you are trying to find out the cause and effect.
Well, I mean, I'm not saying anything about cause and effect. I'm just talking about manipulation.
You just
wiggling.
did.
No, I'm not. I'm not touching it. I'm just watching it.
You just said something happened and the cause. You just said something happened and
I didn't
the
touch
cause.
it. I didn't touch it. I didn't wiggle it. I didn't do anything.
I didn't get to that part. I was going to ask you the next step. So here we go. You have an observation, you have an event, and you are trying to understand why the event happened. Is that fair?
Yeah, hang on. Technical driving. dumbasses don't know how to merge.
Bro, he doesn't know shit, man. Why
Okay,
are we?
so right. Okay, look. So you have an event. You're trying to figure out why it happened. Would it be fair to say you're trying to figure out what caused the event?
You could say that.
Okay, so then how would you determine the cause of an event in general?
You just observe.
You just observe.
I mean, it's more complicated than I would really have to have a reference before me to have a
like eclipse
concise discussion about it.
Okay.
You know.
All right. Look, that's fair enough. That's fair enough. But again, you can DM me. Go away and find something to bring back, and you and I can have a conversation on the sideline. I'm honestly trying to figure out. I'm honestly trying to understand how your method right now is differentiating from QE's, because right now it's step for step, bro.
Well, no, QE says you have to wiggle it.
Okay, we haven't gotten to that part. Okay, we haven't gotten to that part. And right now, when I asked you in the next step, you said you don't have enough information. You're going to have to go away and find it. So I'm just saying, up to the point that we're talking about, which is what I said, you sound a lot like QE.
Oh, don't say that. Don't even say that.
Well, don't insult QE like that, please.
Yeah, don't insult QE like that. That's good enough.
Hey, I got a question for you guys. If you guys are done with that, sounds like you're at a standstill.
Yeah.
I've got two diagrams here. Can you see them? This is the routes that I am going to fly. The blue lines. The starting one is up here at the top. And I'm going to travel down the hypotenuse. Here's my plane, just so you get an idea. Whoa! Giant plane. Here's my plane, right? I'm going, I'm going to go down to here, to the destination. Same with this one. Now, the wind is blowing, unfortunately, and it is blowing pretty damn hard. If I didn't correct for the wind, I would be blown along this green path. So I would have to fly down if I let the wind blow me and then, turn and correct and go over. Which is obviously longer than the 100. It's 140. So my plan is to go in a zigzag pattern and make small corrections the whole way down. I'm going to go ding, 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 so I stay close to my path, but still make it down there so it's not 140. Does that sound like a good plan?
You'd still have to drop. These guys are saying, oh, my bad. I don't want to interrupt your thing. Go ahead.
Yeah, don't.
How much is that green one? How much is the green on the other side, Brandon?
This one?
Yeah.
140.
So it's the same as the other one?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yep. You guys would agree with that, right? That if I fly this green route, it's the same as this green route?
If it's 140, yes.
What about you ballers? What do you think? You agree with that?
I'm on the fuel island.
Anybody? Come on. It's a really simple question. Biodual, RC Meisty.
They don't want to answer because they don't know where you're going with this.
But it's a very simple question. I mean, what possibly could I be getting to here?
Hey.
No, they've been wilding with this airplane thing. I've been bringing it to them the past couple of days. They're off the hook.
I know. Me and Bob talked about it for 2 hours on Sunday. Let me see. I'll just start calling people out. Biodual, he has his headphones on. Let's see. Who else is here? Are we out of ballers? Naps has got her headphones on.
Yeah.
I think we're out of ballers. Earth is life. He just dropped out.
B-ball.
B-ball just dropped out. I saw that, B-ball.
No, it's B brick. Come on, guys, it's B brick.
Oh,
It's
B-brick.
8 ball.
He's 8 ball.
So what is the point, Brandon?
Gently's
What's
channel.
going on here?
Well, no, I need some validation here.
Just
Gently.
save it.
What do you think?
I'll do the globalist. Yes, it looks the
No,
same.
no, Brandon,
Juice
just
ball
save it
for
for
life.
save
Hold
it for Glober.
Gently.
Okay.
All right.
Are you there? Can you hear me? No, you can't talk. Anybody,
They can't
any
answer
Glober,
anything.
left lane, you can't. You come on, you can't look at your screen once. All right, well, that's disappointing. I guess we don't have any ballers.
Just save it for tomorrow, bro.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I'll just
I
wait.
don't even know where you're going with this, but they've been wilding with this air. Bob's been hearing me talk about it the past few days.
Yeah. Would anybody on this call disagree that this green path is the same distance as this green path? No, it's pretty obvious, right? All right, cool.
I would say that it's not the same, but you said that it was
Yeah,
140.
I mean, look, all you have to
So
do.
I'm going
is-
based on what you say.
Yeah, all you have to do is move all the verticals over so that they're one, and then all the horizontals drop it down. It's going to be the same shape. Yeah.
Yeah, you just imagine slide this over.
That is true.
Slide this over.
That is true.
This, down, down. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
Same thing, bro. Same thing.
Oh, it is the same.
Okay. Well, we got to get a baller's input on this before we talk about it more.
All right.
Damn, that's a cliffhanger.
Paging Dr.
Save
Bob.
it.
Paging Dr. Bob.
It's like General Hospital out this bitch.
They kind of expose themselves because they don't want to answer any questions, but they say they have all the answers. They got a model. Yeah, they have a model with all the answers, but all they do is ask you questions that they don't understand the answer either. Sometimes you'll give them an answer and they don't understand the answer is even an answer. They'll tell you that's a wrong answer. They're like, dude, is a wrong answer still an answer? And they'll say, no, wrong answers are not answers.
Good point, Crit. Oh, B-Ball just joined us again. You there, B-Ball? Can you talk? No. All right. Anybody got anything they want to wrap up for here that they want the YouTube audience to hear? We got 20 minutes left. Anybody got any subjects they want to talk about?
B-Ball's lighting up, but he's not saying anything.
You might be having mic issues. Yeah, I don't know what's going on there.
I'm fucking excited. I can't wait for a Glober to come on and go through this with you. I don't even know where you're going with it, but I feel like it's the same thing I've been talking about.
What are y'all talking about now?
Oh, hey, Biodual.
There you go.
Can you see my screen? I'll ask you. I'm glad you joined.
Yeah, I was trying to think about what you were presenting. I have no idea what the context is.
Yeah, it's just a geometry question, really. So if I'm gonna fly my plane down this blue path. It's 100. The wind is gonna blow me off path. If I don't correct for the wind, it's gonna take me down this green line, and then I'll have to fly here, which is obviously a longer distance, 140. Would I save myself any time or distance by flying this green path here, since I'm closer to the line?
I don't think I understand the setup.
It's not a setup. It's just well, it is.
Of course not.
No, not a setup. I don't think it's a
You're
gotcha.
fucking
I'm
stupid,
just
that's
saying
why.
what you presented. I
Fucking
don't understand what you're presenting.
He doesn't
I'm
want
just
to answer
asking a
'cause he
simple
doesn't know where you're gonna hit him.
question. I mean, if I fly my plane down here, but I'm going to correct in small chunks. Over here, I don't correct at all. I just fly down, and then I turn and fly over to my destination. I just let the wind push me. Here, I'm going to do it in small chunks. The wind's going to push me, I'm going to correct. Wind's going to push me, I'm going to correct. Wind's going to push me, I'm going to correct in little small chunks until I get down there.
Oh, it'd probably be a smaller distance on the right side than what you do on the left.
Well, why do you say that?
Because you're closer to the hypotenuse, so it's less. But you're in the left side. It seems like you're taking extreme distances, and then the most extreme would be the 140, 80 plus.
You got the easy part wrong, bro.
But if you're doing the
big disappointment,
if you're doing
Fucking
the smaller
disappointment.
increments, well,
I'll give you the answer.
no,
But
it'd be the same. It'd be the same. If you're not, it'd be the same on both sides actually. So you could do one long straight line and then one big straight line correction would be about 140. If you're doing these small corrections every now and again, you're still going the same vertical and the same horizontal, so you're still covering the same distance.
There you go.
Exactly. Now, in reality, these wouldn't be straight lines exactly. You'd probably be dealing with like some kind of curve, or, jagged line where you're going like this. And you could draw that over here too, uncorrected. But the whole point is that making small corrections like this doesn't reduce the distance from making one large correction. That's the whole point with this. This is kind of going to tie into something that Bob and I are going back and forth on, because I'm not sure he understands this. And when we talk about Coriolis, this concept is pretty important.
But this is a step down though. This is I don't make any corrections, and all I do is correct it. Then I don't make any corrections. Then all I do is account for correction. But when we're talking about reality, all of these things happen simultaneously. So you'll travel the blue line path, making it a shorter distance.
Not exactly, because you have to take Coriolis into account the different tangential speed at the different latitudes. So this is kind of applies to a situation where we're going from north to south, and our destination tangential speed is like 450 miles per hour more than where we started from. So we've got this deficit as we head south.
This is a deeper context than what's being presented then.
Oh, yeah, it's a much deeper context, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I don't understand that context, but I see what you're presenting of step downs versus extremes, but it's the same distance. I understand that part.
I don't know that it matters how you make these corrections along the way. You could do it slightly, you're just doing it more often or turning less. You've still got this deficit to make up. The whole point is you can't overcome a deficit just by turning. You understand? If there is a deficit that is going to make you deviate from this line, it's impossible to make that deficit up by turning. It doesn't matter how I draw this green line. If it doesn't follow this blue line, there's a deficit.
Right, it wouldn't be optimal. If your plane isn't traveling the blue path, it's not optimal, and there's corrections having to be made.
Exactly, which means something, if you're going to keep the same time for the trip, you've got to change something else. You've either got to get input from outside the system to added energy to make you regain that speed to make up the time, or you've got to do it from within the plane. But one way or the other, you have to have an increase in energy in order to make it to your destination in the same amount of time and at the same speed.
Right. So where are you placing the nose of the plane here? Is that accurate the way you presented it here?
Well,
like
I
to the
just
right.
added the plane, and it's kind of flying down the hypotenuse.
Right. So I think if you're talking about, I mean, in fuck Coriolis and other things, but there's a force. There's two different forces represented by each green line. Is that essentially what's happening?
Yeah, the same force is represented by each green line, essentially.
Right.
It's just whatever force is causing you to deviate from your blue path.
Okay. So there's a force. So your desired flight path, the most optimal, would be blue, but there's a force of some type of value represented by the vertical line, and then there's another force represented by the horizontal line that's acting upon the plane. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
Okay. So I guess in that way, if I were a pilot trying to account for these forces that are acting upon me at all times, I'd probably just orient the plane in such a way that would counterbalance that. Such as if there's a wind that's above me pushing down, I may tilt my nose up a bit. So whatever direction these are pushing or pulling on, whatever, I'm going to orient my plane opposite enough to counteract it. So I might follow this blue path, but my pitch may be 5 degrees up. But because I've pitched 5 degrees up, I've accounted for forces. Now I am traveling that blue line. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do. But I believe when it comes down to it, you cannot overcome this deficit just by turning. You're going to have to add something else into the system in order to make up the deficit.
Oh, possibly, sure. A number of things when you talk about a plane: thrust, the surface area orientation, the entire plane's orientation.
Exactly.
Many factors, sure. Yeah.
For example, in yours, if you do manage to somehow turn, to always be orienting yourself along this blue line, or so that it appears you're going to lose speed by the end.
Oh, quite possibly, sure. If you don't add thrust, it's possible, maybe.
Yeah, you have to add something. You have to get thrust or get it externally. Some people think that the atmosphere pushes on the side of the plane to make up for that Coriolis deficit, but you have to get it from somewhere.
Right, sure. So that's what I'm saying. If this is a constant step down, then all you have to do is make sure that whatever input that you have or whatever orientation you have in your plane, if that first step down on the top triangle on the right side, if you can stay on that path for that blue line from point to point of that triangle, then the rest of the triangles there follow suit, and you don't have to make different adjustments. You've made your initial adjustment, putting you on the right track, and you've accounted for each of those forces equally.
I'm not sure about that, but it's actually not an equal.
No, of course, not within reality.
Yeah, it'd be more
Brandon.
like this, something like that. Yeah.
Sorry,
sure.
I got a quick question for you, Brandon.
Okay.
If I'm traveling from 70 degrees north to, let's say, 69 degrees north in an airplane, so only 60 nautical miles, what is the difference in the tangential speed of the Earth's rotation from 70 to 69?
I don't know off the top of my head, not much.
It's not very much. I've done the math. According to our model, it's probably like 4 miles per hour difference. And
yeah, I think
so for each degree, you have to correct 4 miles an hour difference to get to the equator. That's not that much.
We did this, Brandon. We made that graph or whatever, the infograph.
it doesn't matter how little the corrections are. You still have to make corrections.
Tell me 4 miles an hour wouldn't matter that much on an airplane.
It will.
500 miles an hour.
It's additive. Yeah.
Why?
It will.
Why?
Because your deficit is going to continue to increase as you go along.
No, it's 4 miles an hour for each degree.
Okay, then where are you making up that 4 miles an hour?
Each degree, you adjust 4 miles per hour. For the
adjust
rotation
what?
of the Earth.
I know how he did it.
Adjust
He's
the
like an
plane.
orc in Minecraft. He paints
What do you mean
it
adjust
green.
the plane?
Adjust the plane for the
What do you mean? Increase your
rotational
speed? Increase your
No.
speed then to make up for the 4 miles? What do you
He
mean?
paints it green. Lyle just paints it green. The next thing you know, it's time travel. He's like an orc in Warhammer.
You
Like
have to keep increasing the plane's speed to catch up?
No, I'm not increasing. I'm staying at a constant 500 miles an hour, and I'm
It's
adjusting the plane to match the rotation of the Earth 4 miles per hour.
So you're
for every
turning?
degree.
Are you turning?
Lyle, say it's green, dude.
Are you
got it.
turning, Lale?
Am I turning?
Leo,
Is that what you mean by
plane-
corrections? You're
the
correcting the
rotation of
plane by
Earth.
turning.
Leo,
I'm
we're at
adjusting the plane to match the rotation of the Earth every degree 4 miles. That's
Lil,
what I'm saying.
you cannot turn the plane to make up the deficit. You're gonna end up either
Why can't I? 4
losing
miles per
speed
hour
as you
isn't
go
that much.
along, or being off track.
Why
You
is
have
4
to add
miles an hour
something
that?
in.
Why is 4 miles an hour that much? Over 69 miles, 4 miles.
Why are we talking about this? Leo,
4
prove
miles
that
an
the
hour
Earth.
rotation is not that great to change.
Leo,
You're talking about a change of. You're talking about a change in rotation of 4 miles per hour over 69 miles, Brandon.
Leo, where did the
How
first
much adjustment would that need?
Leo, where did the first value for the speed of the Earth's rotation come from? Where'd it come from?
It comes from the rotation at the equator. 1,440.
Don't change the subject.
I didn't ask you how fast. I'm asking you where that
I don't
number.
care.
Why
I
are you
don't
changing
care.
the subject?
You need to.
I would like to know that.
I'm not okay. I'm changing the subject because we're talking about a minor premise when we haven't.
Brandon had him. Brandon is
Yeah.
trying to get the.
Why are you
Yeah,
trying
he
to
got
sidestep
him.
the fact? At
Yeah,
the
he got him.
equator,
I don't know why
the
you changed the
rotational
subject,
speed-
bro.
At
Okay.
the,
Okay,
at
that's
the
fine.
equator, the rotational speed is 1,043 or around there. That's what they say. That's what our model claims. Okay.
Okay, what does
So,
that got to do with
to get
anything?
hold on. To get the speed of rotation at any given latitude, you times the rotational speed of the Earth
Okay.
times the cosine of the latitude.
So what?
And at 70 degrees to 69 degrees, you're only picking up about 4 miles per hour in speed rotation.
It
So
doesn't
over
matter if
69
it's 4 miles an hour.
plane
It doesn't
only-
matter if you break it down to 400 meters every fucking 10
Great,
seconds. It
but
doesn't matter
a
what you
plane-
break it down
plane
to.
traveling
It's still a
500 miles per
deficit.
hour,
Doesn't
How
matter
much
how
does
small
that
you
have
make
to
it
correct?
sound, Lael.
How much would a plane have to correct for 4 miles per hour rotational difference for 1 degree?
This is the
Quite
for miles.
for 1 degree, quite a bit. The plane, the ride I'm talking about, and I'm specifically interested, is a 7-hour plane ride that covers quite a few miles. It goes from 60 degrees north to 20 degrees north. And there's 460 miles rotational speed that it has to make up along that trip, east to west.
Great. In each 69 miles is 4 miles per hour rotational difference.
Doesn't
if they correct
matter.
Within that 69 miles, if they correct for that rotational difference, then the next degree, they only have to do that again for 4 miles.
And how are they correcting for these every 69 miles? How is that correction done within the 69 miles?
I think the correction to maintain your heading makes up for it. I think the difference, as often as the autopilot is auto-correcting all these things and maintaining altitude as well as heading, I think those adjustments to maintain it account for these tiny, minute adjustments that you would make over this small amount of time.
Hold on. So you think just heading changes alone along that trip is going to somehow overcome that deficit by the time you get there?
Right. I do think
that this is a mathematical geometric proof right here.
No, I know, but we could break it down to where how often does the autopilot make corrections? How often does the autopilot ensure that the heading is correct? And then we can see how often or what is the amount within that time that it would account for. The number would be extremely tiny.
It doesn't matter. You have a deficit to overcome, except your car is on the ground and it is
I get it. What I'm saying
physically
is
getting an exchange if the Earth is rotating, which,
what I'm
as
saying
Travis said, is our major premise.
The adjustments
Yes,
that you're
you can
making
make
while
adjustments.
driving, it
You
makes
can
up
make
for
1
everything else.
millimeter adjustments all the way. You can make 1 millimeter adjustments. You still will have a deficit.
I get it, but you're not, while you're
You're
driving, you're
4
not
miles
making
an hour,
millimeter
4 miles
adjustments.
an
What you're
hour.
doing is whether there's wind or not, whether the wind is different directions, you're not saying, okay, there happens to be wind, I will purposely do these movements to make up for it. No, you're just
Brandon.
maintaining a straight drive, the same way the plane is going to maintain a level heading.
Would you
I will
agree
give you
that
the answer how
no
it can
matter
be
which
done.
way you turn, no matter which way you change your heading, if you are not getting energy from outside the system and you maintain the same speed, you will have a deficit by the time you get to your destination? Yes or no?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, if there's
miles per
nothing,
hour
if
for
it's
every
nothing
degree.
maintaining, then yes, of course, yeah.
Brandon, I
Nothing
can give them the
maintaining.
answer.
Yeah.
And
So
let's
what
see
it,
if
what
they,
is then you have to add something in the system. That's all my whole point. You have to add something into the system, right?
Right. If and it's just maintaining a heading.
No, you can't.
Regardless of it moving, the amount that your heading is going to change. If you have nothing to maintain anything, and you're traveling on this rotating surface, the heading is going to change naturally, but it's going to take a long fucking time and a great distance for it to change a vast amount. But when you have something that's maintaining this bearing, it's constantly making the adjustments to keep it there. And it's
So
not.
it sounds like
it's
you're
not
saying that
consciously-
heading changes alone are going to make up for the deficit. Is that correct?
I think that'd be accurate enough. There will be other things
That's
countered in, or
total
factored in.
bullshit.
But to maintain heading, yeah. If you maintain heading to a particular degree amount, then you're going to reach your destination because it's physically at that heading. And if you maintain that heading the entire time, then yeah, of course you're going to make it.
No, you're not. We just talked about why.
I have an answer, but I don't know if I
Go
want to
ahead.
give it to them because then they're gonna. Do I say it?
Yeah, do whatever you want. Yeah.
All right. I think the way you do it, you solve this problem is that instead of chasing it, you aim ahead of it. You know how you have those green lines below, like
Want me to tell you why they
behind
can't do
the
that?
blue?
Want me to tell you why
All
they
right,
can't do
yeah.
that? Because they don't plan their flights like that. We would see
Yeah,
that
well,
on
but
flight
it-
plans.
Yeah,
I agree with you, but that would be a solution for this problem, right?
If it was actually a problem, yeah, it would be the most obvious solution. Yeah.
All right.
Or you can maintain your bearing, and that's it.
Which means you have to get energy into the airplane somehow, either with more thrust or from outside the airplane in order to maintain your speed and bearing.
Right. There'd be a number of factors, and I think what you're asking is the bare bones of it. What is it doing moment to moment to maintain it? What is it telling the engines to do? What is it telling the flight surfaces to do? I think that's what you're trying to get at, right?
I'm trying to get to the actual tangible things that are happening to keep an airplane on this claimed rotating ball.
Right. The bare bones behind the calculations and what it tells different parts to do.
No, I want to know how it's happening. I want to know what physical mechanism is happening to allow these planes to maintain their heading, speed, whatever.
Right. What the normal or not normal? What the usual questions are is what does a part particularly do? What does a gyroscope do? What you're asking is what does this particular wire on the gyro do? That's the direction of where you're heading.
Here's where I'm heading. What is this plane doing in order to maintain its speed and heading?
Right. I think I understand what you're saying. You just want the bare bones.
I get what you're saying. Yeah, I want to know, is the wind pushing the plane and giving it more east to west? Is it increasing its thrust? What is it doing?
I don't think it's outside sources.
Be...
I'm fairly certain it's just the plane reacting to its environment accordingly.
Then it has to be increasing its thrust as it goes along pretty considerably.
It won't be just thrust. Thrust will be one thing.
Wait.
No.
Is the plane like conscious or something?
No, but it's getting
get away with those fucking.
It's
You get
getting
away with
input
those
from
fucking
from the
answers,
outside.
Bio?
No, it's getting input from
Bullshit.
the outside, and it's calculating what's happening. And then
So
it's
we should
adjusting
have some
accordingly.
record.
Now he's an
itself,
expert,
buddy.
Now he's an expert, guys. He has.
So we should have some record of planes, of pilots and planes increasing thrust as they fly from north to south, right? That should be a consistent record that we have available if that is what is overcoming the deficit.
A number of variables could give you the same effect, but I see what you're saying. Where if you provide an input to the plane that may take it off course, we should see a reaction from the plane adjusting something to correct for that.
Yeah, it's 1, 2 plus 2, right?
No, of course, yeah. If you add 1 to the other side, you have to have one more on the other side of the equation, and then you want to visibly see it or verify it. Sure.
Exactly. Yeah.
So what I know a plane calculates for is turning errors, turbulence, those types of things that it corrects for. Are you saying that the plane corrects for the Earth rotating underneath it?
No, as I said, it'll ensure.
At least you're being honest.
It'll ensure the bearing of the plane as well as the altitude using the pressure.
It uses an accelerometer and an interferometer. And
sure. As well as many other things, but sure.
But it's designed to keep a straight path, bro. That's the purpose of the instrument, is to keep a straight path.
Right, straight and level.
Not a curved path. Just like here, how gyros work in our local level, right? When we want to keep a straight path with them, we can keep a straight path in 3D space, right? Like we're capable of keeping a straight path in 3D space, are we not?
Sure.
Yes, we are.
If we can, this whole thing would be over with.
Yeah. So there you go. Right? Anyway.
Hey, here's the thing. If you didn't increase thrust and you weren't getting power from the outside and you tried to correct for this supposed Coriolis just by turning, just by these corrections, what you would find is that by the time you got to your destination, you would only be going about 150 miles per hour in the case of Anchorage to Mexico City. Because you've got that 450 mile per hour deficit that you never overcame in the east-west direction. So you would find that your ground track is only 150 miles an hour. That's a huge deficit.
The plane's not flying independent from the Earth.
Okay, well, then your answer is what then? That it is getting energy from outside the plane, and that is what is propelling it?
Are you saying the Earth is not spinning underneath the airplane?
Are we still in 2015?
We've never gotten a straight answer to this, Carlos. This isn't about if it's spinning under the... I mean, it is about whether it's spinning under the plane at all, but we have never been able to verify this story about how planes keep on track.
They just make small adjustments during flight.
Well,
yeah.
Let me see if I can pull up my some old manuals for some particular systems, and let me see if I can contact someone, because I do understand what you're saying. You're saying more than what happens when my flight surface does a thing. You're asking how much pressure and the timing of the hydraulics that go into the flight surface. What causes that? I think you're getting more bare bones than the average question. But I'll see what I can find.
I'm looking for what input there is into the system to keep it on track. It can't be just turning. It could be the wind, which I doubt, because I don't think there'd be a 1-for-1 exchange.
Well, all instruments, I know they correct for this now, but they still have issues with magnetic interference. And obviously, turning errors and turbulent errors that they can correct for. But this is why they invented this preventative technologies, because these are the errors that they calculate for. Not through any of the process that I ever see when I ask pilots, do you correct for the Earth rotating underneath it, or do you correct for Earth curvature? It's not even a thought process. So it's not a thought process. I looked at the instruments. The instruments are designed to create a straight path in 3D space. I haven't seen any other purpose for that gyro other than that is to show the deviation from center.
Yeah, they just make slight corrections during the flight.
I'm just going on empirical proofs, and what I've noticed is in the ad hoc explanation, there's this apparent drift that's conflated as either mechanical, magnetic, turbulent, or turning error, whatever the 5-6 different variables that interfere with the instrument's calculations, there is an apparent deviation that's calculated as Earth rotating underneath it. And at the same time, you have somebody like Balduel, who I just got to admit that no, the Earth is not rotating under the plane.
I didn't
So,
say that at all. Do you remember your
Yeah, you did.
specific question?
I asked you, those instruments, are they calculating for the Earth rotating under the plane? You said no.
Right. That's different. That's different than saying the Earth doesn't rotate under the Earth, whether the
So the
instrument or not.
instruments that are designed, the instruments that are
calculates for it.
designed to keep the plane in a straight flight path are only interested in one thing because they don't have to calculate for the Earth
The
rotating
straight and
underneath it
level
then,
flight
right?
is to maintain altitude and maintain bearing. That's straight and level.
So there's no reason to calculate for the rotation of Earth, right? Because you just said no.
If we maintain bearing and we maintain altitude, then whatever's happening underneath doesn't matter because we're maintaining those two things.
Because
and
the
that'll
airplane
give you the
doesn't
straight and
care.
level flight.
The airplane doesn't care what the shape of the Earth is, right? Because it works off of air, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Sure. Yeah, it doesn't really care.
Of course,
sure.
if it works off of air, then it flies in a straight 3D path. That's why it appears to be.
No. Straight and level. You're
exactly
you're
how
confusing
we
the term straight and
observe it.
level.
We observe a central neutral position and we fly level to it, parallel. Interesting.
Again, I posted in the chat the FFA or FAA.
I guess it's just a
calls straight and level
coincidence.
flight
Just
is
a
when you
coincidence.
maintain heading and altitude. That's all
I guess
straight
it's
and
just a
level means.
coincidence. I guess it's a coincidence that straight and level plane flight is a straight path in 3D space, right?
No, you're conflating it. Straight and level, when we're talking
it
about
works-
this context, means maintaining heading and maintaining altitude. That's all it means. If
So
you want to change
straight
the
and level-
definition, that's one thing we
straight-
can talk about. But according to this
straight and level-
context, heading and altitude.
Yeah, I just posted a thing to the channel there, bud. Go read it. Straight and level is the purpose of these instruments. They don't give a shit
Are
of
you
your
confusing
philosophy.
what I posted with
They
what
don't
you
give
posted?
you
I don't see your post.
the Earth, the philosophy of the shape of the Earth for you. The instruments don't care what you think the shape of the Earth is. The instruments are designed to keep a straight line in 3D space.
As far
That's
as
it.
flying the plane, sure, it's straight and level according to bearing and elevation.
And guess what? It matches what we observe when we fly over the plain Earth. Interesting how that correlates.
Right, particular things, not everything. Not everything will correlate.
It correlates
but particular
so
things, sure.
much so. It correlates so much so that I could use a cup of water to land my plane.
Right, that's a false equivalency. It has nothing to do with what we're talking about.
A practical, observable, repeatable thing. that
No, I know.
matches the
I don't dispute.
instruments,
I don't dispute that
the
because we
instruments are
talked about that
designed.
before.
The instruments are designed to create a horizontal path in 3D space.
Not
independent of
horizontal,
any-
straight and level according to the heading and
independent
altitude.
Independent of any acting force on it. That's why it's rigid in space and creates its own reference frame. That reference frame is acted upon by outside forces, which is the tilting of the aircraft, turbulence, turning errors, all kinds of things. And then you have magnetic interference. But the whole point of the instrument is to draw a horizontal path in 3D space. It doesn't
Not
give a shit
horizontal.
about the
Stop.
shape of-
You can't say that with an with honesty because it's not
Well,
creating a
horizontal,
horizontal path.
level, and straight.
What it's
They're all
calling is a
synonymous.
straight and level flight. And the straight and
horizontal,
level
straight
flight
and level
means
is all-
you're maintaining heading and you're maintaining altitude. None of that requires a straight line within 3D space.
FED. The purpose is to keep you horizontal.
No, it's not. It's to keep you straight and level. You can call it tangential to the surface below wherever you are.
Horizontal,
You can
but
call
is
it
straight
that.
and level.
But
Horizontal
the
is straight
entire
and level.
path is not horizontal.
Buddy, horizontal is straight and level. Didn't you know?
No, horizontal can be straight and level. That's fine. What I'm saying is they don't describe it as horizontal.
There is
because
no
the
other
flight path-
horizontal.
There's
only
you
one
can have
horizontal,
you can
that's
have a
straight and
horizontal
level.
across any shape. If we're going to talk about where the horizontal is, that's fine. But the context matters. You can have a horizontal that's straight and level over a flat Earth. That's fine. But you cannot have if it were a horizontal line over a spherical Earth, they wouldn't call it straight and level. They would just call it horizontal. But they call it straight and level according to heading and altitude. If you want to change what the FAA
horizontal-
calls it, then bring it up with them.
Horizontal, straight, and level are all synonymous with horizontal. Straight and level are synonymous with
In
horizontal.
particular context, but you're changing the context.
Equal points of elevation is horizontal. Equal
No,
points
no.
of elevation.
In some context, sure, not all context.
Equal
On a
points of
flat Earth, you're
elevation
right.
is a straight line.
Right, on a flat Earth,
Right?
the flight path of a straight and level flight would be horizontal. The entire path would be. You're right. What I'm saying is, if it were that, they would just call the path horizontal. They call it straight and level flight for a reason, because it's straight according to the heading and it's level according to altitude. That's it.
Yeah.
Say that you do realize that the the plane doesn't just look at the instruments and say, okay, I'm going straight and level, so we're gonna keep going the way we are, and then check on the instruments an hour or 2 hours later. It's constant. The plane is constantly relying on whatever is being fed from all this instrument. And you guys think that the
Look,
plane just goes,
gentlemen,
oh,
the instruments say that
Okay.
the Earth is a stationary horizontal surface that you fly
No, it
above.
doesn't say. It doesn't say that.
It says that by
No,
the
it doesn't.
readings you get
No, hold on,
right
man.
from the get-go. There's
This
no
is
looking
the
into
stupidest
it.
statement, man,
of
because it doesn't
why,
say
of
anything.
how.
It doesn't care. That's what it says
Well,
about
I'll tell
the
you
shape
why. I
and
tell
the
you why
movement
it
of the Earth.
does.
It doesn't
It's
care.
because no pilot that I have met and interviewed calculates for Coriolis or Earth curvature.
Don't have
It's
to.
non-existence. Exactly.
Right. It doesn't matter.
Thank you. You don't have to. You're right.
Right, but
So
that's
thank
not
you
that's
for,
different than saying that it
so
doesn't
thank you
exist.
for-
Like I don't
sorry?
know if a particular
I'm sorry?
car exists,
Are
but if
we
I
not
don't
talking
care,
about
I'm not going to make that
instruments?
claim. I'm
Are
not
we not
saying it
talking about
doesn't exist.
instruments or the plane flight having a deficit due to the functions of these instruments in the environment that you suggest that these mechanical instruments are being exposed to? You're saying these mechanical instruments are responding the way that it is because the
Right.
Earth's rotating underneath it. This
Yeah,
is what your claim is.
It's responding to the factors that are being inputted from the outside of the plane, and it's responding to
Yeah.
those. Whether
What
the Earth
forces
is
are they?
flat, cube,
What forces are they?
spherical, any shape, and
What
whether it's
forces
moving,
are
not
they?
moving, it
What
doesn't.
forces are they, though?
Oh
What
yeah,
forces?
sure. It be wind, Coriolis gravity,
Okay, so wind,
different
we know
centrifugal,
wind is there.
centripetal, all kinds of
We know wind is there, but you just said we don't calculate for Coriolis in a plane. So again, so wind is there. We don't
It doesn't
calculate
calculate
for Coriolis. You
for
just said that.
Coriolis. It calculates
Yeah.
according to the
What
input
else?
acted
Wind.
upon it.
We don't calculate for curvature. You never said
It'll
curvature. so
it'll
that's
adjust
good.
with
What else?
it'll be determined by the inputs from the outside. That's all.
All
it
right.
is.
What forces are those? You said what?
Here we go. This has nothing to do with it because
Here we
it's
go,
only
what?
the input. Whether
Here
or
we go,
not
what?
that
It's
we
the
call
only
the
the
force
input. What is the input?
There we go.
What forces
How
are
about
they?
how about
Here we
this
go.
again? If you're not
How
going to let me
about
finish,
this?
if you're not going to
Yeah,
let me finish, you tell me what to say. You tell me what to say, and I'll parrot it.
You're a pretty little girl. You love wearing pink dresses.
There you go.
Yeah,
So
let him finish his answer, Data.
it's almost like you don't want to hear what my answer is because I was avionics on the F-15. It's almost like you're talking to a subject matter expert
I asked
about
you what
something you don't want
forces
me
they
to
were.
finish.
I asked you what forces. You said Coriolis 1 minute, then you said Coriolis is the next.
Wants to filibuster
No,
over people like I am now.
now you want to
Right,
white
because
knight,
the
right?
force
You want a white
that
knight?
Coriolis will have it will not.
Prince Charming's here.
The force that Coriolis will have it on the plane won't present it as Coriolis. It's only presented as a force. That's it. So it doesn't matter whether it's some type of gravity, whether it's some type of magnetic force, whatever the force is, it's a force on the plane. The plane doesn't give a fuck what force it is. It's a force it's going to react to given the input that it gets.
But you don't calculate for Coriolis or curvature, right?
Right. So don't listen to any word that I just said.
So what force
No, I'm
does
listening to what you said
Coriolis
earlier.
How does this Coriolis force present itself in the environment? What are these?
Most
Go ahead.
likely as different atmospheric the speed of the atmosphere essentially,
Can I-
and the
all right, can I
pedostatic
ask-
system will pick that up and it will make adjustments accordingly.
Sure. So let me ask you a question. It's kind of a technical question. You're a subject matter expert. I've been looking for the answer to this. If there is a 10-mile-per-hour wind, and I measure that with one of those tools, I can't remember what they're called, to measure wind, right? It's 10-mile-an-hour wind. And the plane is in the air, and that same wind that I measured at 10 miles an hour is blowing against the plane. Is it going to blow the plane 10 miles in an hour?
It'll slow the moving plane down if you don't make adjustments.
If you don't correct for it, it's blowing against the side. Excuse me. It's blowing against the side of the plane.
Oh, then what should happen
Perpendicular
is that
to your direction.
Right. So if you're straight and level and you're looking forward, the wind is coming and hitting you on the left side of your face, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right. So what the plane should do is adjust its yaw. Essentially your face should look to the left slightly to adjust and account for it.
Okay. I'm not adjusting for this wind though. Would it blow my plane 10 miles?
Oh yeah. So yes, if you are straight and level and you don't make any adjustments, and there happens to be this wind that's 10 miles an hour and it's always hitting you for a whole hour, yes, you will deviate to the right for an hour, or to 10 miles.
Is that
Will it blow the wind? Will it blow the plane so that it's 10 miles an hour, it's going with the wind
Yeah,
at any
10,
point.
10 miles off to the right. Yes. If you don't make any adjustments because
if
of it,
I was
yes.
in sustained wind, a 10 mile per hour wind in that plane in the air, that wind's hitting me, and I just let it go, eventually the plane would be blowing sideways at 10 miles an hour, and I wouldn't feel any wind?
No, it would feel it, but you specify that you don't make any adjustments. So you're just taking it, and you're not accounting for it, and you're not fighting it, you're doing nothing. You experience it, and in an hour you will be deviated to the right 10 miles.
Right, so it's blowing on the side of the plane. It starts blowing the plane, this 10 mile per hour wind. It continues. At some point, once the plane is going in the direction of the wind at 10 miles an hour, I'm not going to feel any wind, right? Would that eventually happen?
You might have to reset it. What it sounded like you said is after this 1 hour, you're in a different orientation, so you don't feel the wind anymore.
No,
I don't fully understand what you're saying.
So here's the plane. The wind is blowing on the plane in this direction. It's 10 miles an hour. Let's just pretend this is the top of the plane we're looking at. Yeah. All right. Wind's blowing this way. I don't do anything to correct for it. It starts pushing me this way, right? It keeps hitting me. Will it eventually, this wind, this 10 mile per hour wind, push the plane so that the plane is moving in this direction at 10 miles an hour?
Oh, like accelerating.
Yeah.
So you're saying the acceleration is
in
10 miles an hour? No.
Exactly.
It's just it's a sustained speed of 10 miles an hour. Yeah.
Okay. So there's some loss. It's not a 100% transfer from this wind to the plane, right? A 10 mile per hour wind will not result in a plane blowing to the side at 10 miles per hour.
It just after 1 hour, it will be deviated in that direction 10 miles.
Oh, okay. That doesn't have anything to do with why they call it a 10 mile per hour wind, though. Right?
That's just the force that it's acting or pushing upon it. So if that 10 miles an hour wind hits that plane, the plane's not going to be traveling in that direction 10 miles an hour. If that wind maintains 10 miles per hour, it's not going to accelerate it because it's traveling 10 miles an hour and the plane is traveling 10 miles an hour in the same direction. So they're both just going to maintain 10 miles an hour. There's no acceleration being involved.
Yeah, I don't think you're getting.
If the wind were picking up speed, like let's say for that first hour, it was 10 miles an hour. So that plane's going to deviate 10 miles. If that wind then picks up to 20 miles an hour, well, that's going to cause the plane to pick up to 20 miles an hour. But it won't go over that in that direction because the force is only up to 20 miles an hour.
Where did you just go with that?
So you're telling me that this wind, I'm gonna keep my north-south. I'm gonna keep this heading the whole time, right?
Yeah,
this
sure.
wind sustained long enough on the side of the plane, if I keep my heading in the same direction, will eventually blow my plane so that it is going sideways at 10 miles an hour. This wind hits, and it won't feel like this wind's hitting me anymore. Once my plane picks up this speed from this wind and is blowing at 10 miles an hour, it'll be like there's no wind.
Right. So now you're going to have a velocity that doesn't match your bearing.
And you're telling me that's what's going to happen after an hour of this 10 mile per hour wind hitting me from the side.
Right. You're going to be looking in one direction, but you're going to be traveling in that direction plus a deviated direction. Yes. If you make no corrections, of course.
That's remarkable. What do you base that on, Biodual? Because that seems
physics. If you have a force in one direction, such as your thrust pushing the plane forward, and you have a perpendicular force, those two forces don't give a shit about each other. You're just adding a velocity in those directions.
Wouldn't that mean there's a 1-to-1 transfer from this wind to my plane, though?
Right. In this perfect scenario, yes. But if you wanna account for reality, then we would say the wind would give it 10 miles an hour. The plane may move, 4 miles an hour in that direction because of weight, mass, resistance, But we're in this perfect scenario where we don't.
No, we're not in a perfect scenario. I was asking as a subject matter expert in reality.
Oh yeah, I don't know the calculations involved, but yes, if you want a general answer, then yes, an X amount of wind perpendicular to your thrust will deviate your plane an X amount that's calculable in a perpendicular direction. Yes.
Okay, and it'll be some factor less than 1. It sounds like you said 40%.
Of course, yeah, there's no perfect 1-to-1 transfer, but yes, it will deviate in that direction some amount.
So after an hour, this 10-mile-per-hour wind, it might feel like it's 6 miles per hour in the plane, and I'm going in that direction 4 miles per hour, maybe something like that.
Perhaps,
right?
Sure.
Okay, something like that. There is some calculation involved that we could probably find out from someone else. But all right, so what that means is you can't make up the deficit by turning, and just this theoretical wind that would be created by Coriolis also can't make up the deficit.
You can make up the deficit by yawing in the opposite direction. So in this example here, you would essentially turn your rudders so that your yaw position, your face, would be looking to the right, just an X amount. Again, whatever the calculation may be, that's what it's put in there.
You,
so
in this scenario going from north to south, you need this wind. You need it to give you that momentum. You need that.
Not if you're maintaining your bearing. If you're maintaining your bearing, no, you don't want that wind because you're just maintaining the bearing.
Then
and if the wind is introduced,
yep.
Right. If the wind is introduced
to make up
from
for
the right,
deficit with thrust.
Right. Or it could be thrust. That's one way to counteract particular forces, sure. But you can also move your flight surfaces. You can also change the orientation of your plane. You could do a number of things that could have similar effects.
Even if you minimize it as much as you can with turning, changing the orientation of your plane, you still have a deficit. I think that we established that at least, right?
Sort of. I think your step down example is kind of okay, but I think the precision and speed at which these computers are accounting for input forces, I think are good enough. I think if we, with our brains, had to do it in real time, it would look like that stepladder. But I think in real time, it's with the computers, it's not that dramatic. It seems dramatic, but it's not.
It doesn't matter how dramatic it is. It doesn't. If you follow this path and you don't have any other input into the system, you're going to have a deficit by the time you get there. Especially if you hold the same constant speed, you'll be going a lot slower. If you don't maintain this path and go the same speed, then you'll be off track. So you can't do it just by turning and making these small adjustments with the plane. I don't care which direction you turn the plane. You can't overcome this deficit just by turning.
You can in real time.
No,
because
you can't.
What you're presenting is these long lines of the plane is not correcting anything. And then it's an instant correction of everything.
That's not.
And that's
this is meant to be small corrections. You can make these green lines 100 times smaller and closer to this blue line, and it's the same thing. Doesn't matter how big the corrections are. It is.
Isn't the problem that I think, as Bildo was saying, with plane, I think the way of thinking about it is sometimes people are thinking of is like you put the plans in place beforehand and then that's it. But it's kind of like running or jogging, where you know where you're going, but you're also constantly making real-time adjustments, based on every step you're taking is there's real time adjustment.
Guys, are you guys playing stupid, Kosho? Are you guys playing dumb right now?
No.
Are you sure?
No, I think the running thing is a good example because it's even despite the wind, you're not making these triangle shapes while you're running straight. You're just maintaining straight. So at best, you're making a curved line deviation from that straight path every once in a while, but you're not forming these triangles.
Doesn't matter if they're triangles or not.
Well, they do because you're adding
distance. They could be like this. That adds distance. It doesn't matter unless you don't make this exact blue line. You're going a further distance. And even if you follow this blue line, you have to have an input into the system to maintain the same speed and get that added momentum that you need in order to reach your destination somehow. I'm just going to close this out and you guys can think about it.
I think if you take the triangle,
here's what I see. We just determined that you can't do it by turning alone. I'll figure out another way to represent that, but that is not possible. You can't do it by just the wind. So you're still going to have a deficit no matter how good you turn. The wind is going to hit you. It's not a 1-for-1 transference. If Coriolis creates a wind as you go south and you need to pick up energy from that wind, you're not going to get a 1-for-1 transference. So that means you're still going to have a deficit. So any way you slice it, you have to increase the thrust on this plane as you go north to south in order to make it to your destination. That should be an established pattern of planes flying north to south, increasing their thrust in a predictable manner as they go south. Period.
They're just maintaining. They're not necessarily increasing energy, decreasing energy. They're getting to a 500 mile per hour airspeed, give or take, of course, and they're just maintaining. The same with your cruise control. Whatever winds are acting upon it, your cruise control on your car just maintains the speed. Luckily for a plane, there are so many other factors: changing orientation, pitch, roll, yaw. That's pretty much it. But a combination of all those things will maintain this level flight. So the flight plan may give you this long blue straight line, but the actual flight may deviate a bit. And instead of using triangles, you should use a point-to-point curved line that slightly deviates. So it's going to add tiny amount of distance, but it's still following that blue path.
Is that what it said in the manual that you're looking at or something? Because it's like we didn't just have this whole discussion, but we can finish it some other time. I'll close the show out now. I appreciate it, guys. Thanks for joining the panel today. I really do appreciate it. It was a good show, some good discussions, and I'll be back tomorrow. I'll be back in a minute, actually. I'm going to record the after show, but we'll be back on YouTube tomorrow. Anybody want to say anything to the YouTube audience before I close it out?
Just fucking stop, man. They're either stupid or dishonest. Or both.
Hell of a thing to say right there to finish it off. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll close on that. All right, thanks, guys. All right. Oh shit. What the fuck? It's like a fool's errand. Oh. Yeah. Pitch, roll, yaw. Just throw everything in the kitchen sink at it, right? Let's see what else can a plane do. You don't want to say we have to increase thrust. No, we can just turn. Yeah, the Earth's moving at a faster pace beneath us, but we can still just turn to make it up. That's how things work. Ugh, so frustrating. All right, I gotta go. I got work to do yet tonight, but hopefully we have a show tomorrow. We should check, make sure that we're on. But it was good hanging out with you guys, and we will see you tomorrow. Thank you to the folks who super chatted, which was Godzilla 37, Taking Back Eden FE, Dan the Waterman, Earth is Life. I always forget. Feels like I'm forgetting one more. Oh, there's one more. Shout out to you, whoever you were with the first one that doesn't show up in YouTube. Thanks, guys. Have a good night. Bye.
Understand